bit of open mic time. Thank you to the Johnnies and Al in Knoxville, Tennessee for providing that great song as always. We love you. And if you're in Knoxville, try and find out if you can see where the Johnnies are playing. They usually do weekend gigs. They're a lot of good guys. I think you'd like them. So let's see. We started a little earlier. That's on me. I made a little teeny tiny mistake.
Oops. I think I've made a terrible mistake.
See, I told you.
My underwear on the outside.
So, yeah, I'm still learning the good things and the bad things of this, but you know,
Sportcat.
He doesn't always know what the hell he's doing. So just bear with me. We're going to get this together one of these days. One of these days, we're going to actually have like a real radio station song show, whatever the hell we are. So welcome to everyone in the chat. We're expecting a very large audience tonight. Our guest will be joining us at 9 o'clock, which is our normally scheduled time. And then after that, we're going to do open mic until it ends. Maybe I'll pull it all night. No, we can't do that because we've got another great show coming up after this one at 11 o'clock Eastern time. We have Brenda and Susie, those crazy criminal chicks. They like to get in it and mess around with those serial killers. Not me. I'm out of there. But I'll be here helping them coordinate and all that good stuff. But a little bit about the show, in case a lot of you don't know. I know we have some first-time viewers. We do this weekly, Wednesday nights. Today is Wednesday, right? You got to keep me on my toes here, guys. And we're at 9 o'clock. I got to stop saying and See, I got to train my radio voice. So we usually have the guest the first hour, and in the latter hour, we end up doing just an open mic. It's me and my pals and whoever wants to join in. And sometimes the show runs over 30 minutes. Sometimes it's running over 2 hours. The following day, we turn it into a podcast audio. And before I get at it at Sportcat on Twitter, people are going to ask, well, where are the last couple episodes? It's a very good question. Sportcat is asleep behind the microphone, so I can't always keep up with it. Sometimes the old lady comes in and so I got to be, tamed down a bit. So, but I'm going to get caught up with them hopefully by the weekend. And this weekend is the Atlanta Knife Show. I'm actually going to try and capture some audio from the show there. So we'll talk about that later on after the last hour. About me, my name's Glenn Jackson in real life. I'm a ham radio operator, comic book nerd, geek, and aficionado, master of nothing but pushing buttons. See, I told you. So I started doing podcasts back in 2015. I have a history. You can go on SoundCloud and you can actually go on Anchor FM. Which I think is now Spotify, and find all my new and old stuff and catch up with me. Paranormal, we got the monkey or Para OR Normal Guyz because initially when I started back, I had a couple people pushing me and the missus really pushed it hard. She wanted me to do YouTube. Well, I wasn't a fan, but I let somebody else talk me into it. Well, 10 episodes in, it didn't work out the way I wanted it. I decided I wanted to do the paranormal. My feature is the Bigfoot cryptid creature, which I actually go out in the woods and hunt for. I don't sit in my backyard and say, here, biggie. You can do that. I guess. You might even get your mama to take your video of it while you're doing it. I don't know. Hell. But anyhow, so you can check out those kind of explorations too in some of my old podcasts to verify. My first encounter with a cryptid creature was the Mount Vernon monster back in... I'm going to show my age here. I don't know if I want to. Back in 1986, 87, I don't know. It was somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s. And I kind of fell in love with the Bigfoot folklore and stuff, having grown up watching the Patterson film and Bionic Man with Steve Austin having Bigfoot on there. So that's a little bit about me. I actually do go out in the field. I have an Enigma research group based out of Atlanta, Georgia, I research with. And there's the Oxford Paranormal Group in Anniston, Alabama, that I research with and go out in the woods with quite frequently. In fact, my team was out there this last weekend. So I'm out in the woods actively investigating. I don't go out in my backyard looking for stuff. And I've had true experiences. But this show was never intended to be solely about Bigfoot or psychics or crystals or whatever. This show was to be Para OR Normal. And so I decided that I wanted to do a little bit more of the sports. I'm a big sports fan. I like to do the entertainment. We've had an MMA star already interviewed. I've got some comic book authors and artists coming up. Basically, my theory is if you have a story, I have a mic. And I'm just a loose nut behind the mic, so I'm willing to let you tell your tale. So I want you on. I don't care what your background is. I don't judge people. I'm not a person that would do that. So if you have a story you want to tell, it's interesting, it's funny, and I can back it up. I don't want any fact checkers coming on me later and go, well, you put Nanny on there and she said, yeah, I don't care. We will check you out and investigate you. But for the most part, we like to keep the show light, entertaining. And so I've brought in a new sidekick that I don't tell her I'm using her, but you know, sometimes I do. Brenda is my sidekick. She keeps me straight sometimes. She sometimes has to. Yeah, it's a bad idea, Sportcat. Don't do that. So, you know, we get along quite well, and she keeps me in line. So I'll just make sure that on her wheelchair we won't do anything too bad. We won't, put any rust or anything in it. So she can't get me. So I can run faster. But yeah, so I've got Brenda. And then, so the first hour, like I said, is going to be the guests and me and Brenda, and maybe you might see Bob in here. You might see Tanner. You might see a few other people. Who knows who you'll see. And then after the guests leave, we get on here and we just have a good old time. So I've rambled on enough about me, but I wanted to let you know that this will be available in audio format the next day. I wanted to let you know the purpose of the show, since I know I have so many new listeners with this episode. This episode, we're going to be talking about PTSD, the effects it has on you, your family, your life. And how to get out of that hole. More about me on that, I'm sure, will come out during the show. So tune in, tune out. If you're a lawyer, I guess you're recording too. So, all right. Well, without further ado, I think I'm going to drag my sidekick in here. I see her backstage. She's jumping up and down or something. I don't know. She looked like she had a Bigfoot on her shoulder or something. Let's see. And without further ado, here's Brenda. How is Miss Brenda tonight?
I am good.
Well, good.
I'm good. I think I'm good, but
Did I really ramble for 9 minutes, 38 seconds? Oh, the song was about 3 minutes.
You did. You were rambling man.
I had to let our new fan. Matter of fact, I need to open up the chat. I also want to point out that we will be taking chat. There we go. We will be taking questions tonight during during the whole show, but when the speaker's on, anything to do with PTSD. If you have a question, if you want to come on the show, let me know. We'll get in touch on Facebook and get you hooked up. So the 1 hour is going to be kind of serious, but otherwise, let's just have some fun. But yeah, since I know that we've got so many new listeners with tonight's episode, I know this went out on several radio stations across the country. I felt like I had to tell people who I was, what I did, that I'm not just a nut behind the microphone. So, I mean, there is that. So
we got what? Almost 45 minutes before the guest get here.
Yeah, it's just me and you. Yeah, so he messaged earlier that he was looking forward to it. I didn't really say much about him. Sergeant Michael Sugrue. He is a retired, medically retired officer. He had some experiences I'm sure he's going to talk about that led him down the path of PTSD. He's a best-selling author now. He wrote a book about it. I just bought the book and I feel horrible. I wanted to try and get into it some beforehand, but the events of the day did not lead me in that direction. So
thank you, Deacon.
Yeah. As Deacon's in there, she's reminding me that it is Wednesday, and Brenda's hair always looks kind of pretty. So, but I didn't tell her that. But,
sometimes it gets a little wild.
I kind of like the glasses look there. So ramble for a few minutes, take it away because I'm sure I've probably already bored people done tuned out and zoned out. And so I don't even know.
First off, let me say, I have an appointment on the 5th to get my eyes checked so I get new glasses, right?
I just went down.
So I'm going through my drawer looking for my glasses that I could barely see out of. And I found these glasses and I don't know where they came from, but I can see.
Oh, that's funny.
I have no idea. It's like they just appeared in the drawer.
That's funny.
I mean, Hannah might have found them for me. I don't know. Maybe she just put them there.
Well, you'll have to tell our new listeners who Hannah is, because a lot of the new listeners don't know who Hannah is.
Hannah is my doll. She's a porcelain doll that's from the mid 1800s. She only has one attachment, and the attachment is a child. And she plays games. She moves things. I got her a topsy-turvy doll made in 1903.
You're gonna have to explain topsy-turvy because you had to tell me.
On one side, she's awake, and if you flip her over and move her dress, she's asleep. So she sleeps and she wakes up. But I got that doll for Hannah, and Hannah likes her. I have to make her sleep every night, and then I have to wake her up every day.
Well, that sounds like the perfect date to me.
Yeah. Hannah doesn't eat much, so I guess I'm good there.
Yeah.
It's
you don't have to worry about paying for a rent on it.
Yeah. Well,
and you're going through that nightmare out here.
Nice,
so
you might do something about my rent.
So just tell me, in case you hear anything strange in the background, and before you start thinking it's a screaming doll, apparently I have a almost 2-year-old coming down with the flu. So if you hear screams from downstairs, it's probably, you won't know that they're downstairs, but
it is the tiny terrorist, if anybody wants to know.
That's right. He is the tiny terrorist. He runs around the house like he is in charge.
Yep. Terrible twos. Anybody who has kids knows what that's all about.
Lord, tell me about it. So
I don't know. I didn't have that with my daughter. My daughter was a good baby and an excellent toddler. By the time she was a year old, she would pick her toys up and put them away when she had them out. She cleaned up after herself. I never really had too many problems with her.
I can't say much because, well, at least two of the three of mine listen to the show. So I'll just let them know that. I'll just put it like this: one of them was an angel. The others, oh my God, they can fight it out amongst themselves as to who it was. They can just go ahead and. So they're all out of the will anyhow. I'm giving it to the cat.
You just freaked me out because apparently you set a timer. And my phone just alerted me and said, "Hey, podcast is on."
Well, it is. So yeah, normally I schedule them for 9, but I was been trying to do this, get the guest on earlier thing, and I got screwed up because Michael lives on the West Coast, I live on the East Coast, and so it just kind of got.
And I live in Central Texas, so
So I kind of got screwed up on my time, but I told him, I said earlier today, I said, well, I could go back and fix it. I said, but you know what? Maybe I'll just have something to talk about for 45 minutes, or I'll just let everybody look at Brenda. But I decided that I was just going to let it roll. You make mistakes. You're human. That's what it is. This is a live show. So we expect
no editing, no cutting, no.
God knows, and your editor is asleep behind the microphone because I don't have a clue. I wanted to even set up my little soundboard with all kinds of cool things, but
I'm going to be boxing with some of these platforms soon. I'm telling you.
Well, in social media, sometimes I spent 2 hours trying to upload the pre-show video this morning, and then me and Facebook got into it about posting. Apparently, some unscrupulous individual has decided to go through and block and ban me on social media sites. And so I can only post like 3 posts a day. But now for the next 21 days, I'm hoping that this is live on Facebook. I hope they didn't block that. So.
We won't mention his name. Hey.
No. Did
you all know about my Bigfoot experience?
What's that?
I heard something in my yard, and when I went outside and looked, it was chasing all the birds. So I thought it was hungry, so I let it come in my house and I fed it, and now it won't leave.
Well,
and my dog's afraid of it, and it's sitting over here on my bed like it owns it.
Okay.
I have a Bigfoot now that lives in my house. My landlord is really going to have a fit about that one. It's going to be a very big deposit. I'll get him online here later, and we'll let him come on here and mess with JT and Shelton.
Here you go. Deacon said that she had a little hellion in it too, so. Yeah, I mean, as a snake, but you love him. Yeah, I guess.
My mom used to always tell me it was a good thing I was born first before my brother, because if she would have had him first, I would have never been born. My brother was a hellion. So when I had my daughter, she was so good. My mom says, don't have another one because it's going to be awful. Yeah, I'll be like, oh, wow.
there is something to that first child, second child, third child thing. Maybe I should find a psychiatrist. And actually, I know there's 3 of them listening tonight. And we talk about that because that's a real thing. It actually is. I always thought, it's hoo-ha, but it's a real thing. So.
It's true. I just can't figure it out. I mean, I'm like, what is the second child just born with horns or what? My brother was. And then he made it worse because my mother dressed him up as an Oompa Loompa one day for Halloween. He chased me around the house with a knife in his hand.
I was an only child, so I didn't have any of that. I might have been a little bit spoiled. I don't know.
I used to tell my mother, why did you have any more kids? What was you thinking? I tell her, when my brother was a teenager, I told my mother, we need to take him to the vet and get him fixed. And she goes, what? Now my brother has like 15 kids. I told her we should have done it.
Mom didn't know about a lot of my antics until later in life. Of course, I didn't know a lot about my kids' antics until later in life. So I was out working a 24-hour shift and my kids are out running from the popo. So, see, Deacon said that her mom said she wasn't human until she turned 3. Deacon, I love you, but I still question it. And she tried again on her little brother. He was the quiet. Now, how is he the quiet one? And he's in a rock band. Come on. I know better than that, Deacon. I still don't know about you being a human. No, I don't know about that, Deacon. So
I don't know, but
I shouldn't harass my only viewer at the moment.
Now, my second brother, my youngest brother, now he was basically kind of raised by me when he was little because both my parents worked at night, slept during the day. And he was a pretty good kid. You know, he was quiet. Just my middle brother, man. And still my middle brother is like 52. And no, I'm sorry. He's like 50, 55, 54. And he still hasn't grown up. He hasn't reached that maturity yet. He's a late bloomer, everybody says.
I don't think you do until much later in life.
My father was a late bloomer, I think, until like
by the time I hit 60, I'll go through puberty. So that's still like 20 years away. So
I don't think you're ever going to hit your peak of maturity. I think you're just going to die like that.
I keep calling it 3. I am just going to die like that. Good Lord. I'm still, in case anybody's curious, I'm still in nightmare contractor hell. So
look, I can't even take you to Toys R Us, man. Comic book store, forget it. We'll never get out of there.
Now, you lost me one day when I was in Knoxville. I said, I'll call you right back. And what, like 3 hours later after going to the comic book store, I called you back. So
3 hours later, he finally got out of the comic book store. He said he wasn't going to buy anything. He was just going to go in there and check it out, look around. Yeah, 3 hours later, he calls me. He's got like 3-4 books.
No, I think I only bought one, but I bought some books. Yeah, I did buy some books. So I still like to read. So, and that's the thing, man. You know, and I want to read Michael's book coming on for the show, but I've gotten so backed up, and especially when I was doing college, working on my degree, I just didn't read that much just leisurely. And usually I always like to keep a lighthearted book that I'm reading and a kind of something educational or historical or the other one. So I'm always trying to read 2 different things, keep my 2 brain cells working. But I just got out of the habit, and now I'm just like stacked up with things I want to read, including comic books. I'm behind, and there's so many new ones coming out because usually they start releasing a lot of the comic books towards the end of February for the season, not season, but the school time, off time, you know. So yeah, it's it sucks.
Deacon gets lost in bookstores. Well, she says she gets lost in every store, really.
Yeah.
I used to like Hastings, but they're gone. And now we have, let's see, what bookstore do we have left out here?
I like used bookstores.
One of them big ones. I can't even remember what the name. We go there all the time because my caregiver I have books all over my house. I have D&D books that he has. That are so old. Some of them are written with gold lining.
Oh, God.
And he doesn't read them. He doesn't use them. Somebody said we ought to sell them because we probably get quite a bit of money for them.
My son's going to hear this and he's going to be like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. So he's got all that. Plus he reads all kinds of different stuff. I stick mainly to, I read different things occasionally. I read my Bible and I read my pendulum. So
I don't get my pendulum out that much at all.
My pendulum talks back.
I need
so,
to. Well, yeah, I don't have that kind of relationship with mine, but I tried to learn the copper sticks. What do they call them? The where they go left, right, point you to water.
Oh, the dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods. Yeah, I try to learn that. I mean, I can do it, but it's just I don't have the power. But the pendulum I got pretty good at.
Mine has I have a garnet. Mine's a garnet because garnet's my birthstone anyways. So I have a garnet and I really like it. It's heavy.
I think mine's just made out of like crystal meth or something. I'm not sure what mine's made of. It is some kind of crystal.
Over here.
I can't remember.
Come on, Glenn, let's get some answers over here. And I look and you've got yours stuck up your nose. Oh, I'm good.
It's pointing me to the wrong side of town.
You're going the wrong direction, man.
It's always taking me. But so yeah, I don't use it that often. Matter of fact, I really haven't used it that much at all. The past year, a friend of mine is he's a master dowser and pendulum, whatever you call it, guy, and he's probably going to come on the show and talk about that and demonstrate some things. He does a really good talk. Actually, he's probably got a PowerPoint too, where he talks about how the energy comes out of us and how that a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's Satan." No, just cool your jets. Not everything is Satan. Just go make a show about it for Christ's sake. But
I like when I
he talks about the energy and how it goes out and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I like when I get on with some psychics and they'll.
Why, yes, Dina, I am.
But I like when I get on with psychics because I won't say nothing about me. I won't bring up abilities. I won't nothing. And they'll be like looking at me. Like I got one the other day that was looking at me and she said, "Oh my God." I said, "What?" She said, "You have got the prettiest, starts violet aura that turns to dark purple." And I was like, "Really?" And I was sitting there laughing because purple happens to be one of my favorite colors.
But see, how do you tell who's got what auras?
But then when they look at my hands, if they see my hands, they're green for healing. So, and you can look it up. You can go on Google and Google the aura colors and it tells you what colors there are and what they stand for.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant, how do you, can you see my aura? Probably blood red at the moment. So.
Can I see yours?
Yeah.
You're kind of like a light blue right now. Beep, 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 beep. You're a light blue.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I know, and that's just it. It's hard for me to read you because I know you so well, and I know what's going on with you right now. So I already know your aggravation. I hate being aggravated because I feel your aggravation, and it just drives me insane. Then it'll aggravate me. Then I want to go to that person and just put my hand around their throat and squeeze.
Yeah, today my anger towards has just been so.
Yeah.
I can't hit that button fast enough. So.
Dina, yours is usually the light violet into purple or blue. I think it's the light purple.
And she was saying that's what hers was. I assume it is. And,
you can't handle the truth.
People just can't handle it. So,
yeah.
You know what? We do. Well, I thought we did. Somebody was backstage and then just poof, they're gone.
Oh, somebody's trying.
I don't know. I didn't even hit a button. I didn't even. So. You're going to have to let me use this tonight, at least during the fun part of the show, because I didn't really get to play with it much the other night because there were so many people in there whining. God, you can't push buttons. Something wrong with you.
I know that. I know JT asked me if Bigfoot talks, and I said no. Well, Bigfoot talks, but it's telepathically. So, you know, he might grunt a little bit.
Some say that Bigfoot does have the mind speak capability. I've personally not had that experience.
You know, you get people that can read animals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a hard time with some animals, except for like my cat. I always know what she wants. But horses, I'm real good with horses because horses are so grounded to the earth themselves, and they're smart and they're telepathic. And when they're around somebody that can hear them, feel them, they like it. Oh, that was a grizzly bear.
No, that was a cow. That was a cow. Well, that's what a grizzly bear sounds like recently, but no, that's the grizzly bear sound.
That's a grizzly bear. The other one was a black bear.
I think we should replace it with. But
oh.
Okay, that was supposed to be a walrus. That one kind of bothers me a little bit.
I'm not gonna tell you what I thought that was, but okay.
Okay, that would crack me up. So.
Andy.
That one kind of just freaked me out a little bit there.
I think it was Andy trying to get in.
Well, we're here.
Well, tell him to hit the...
Tell him to...
I don't know. What's he hit?
Come on in.
Come on in, Andy. Oh.
Play it again. Which one, Deacon, did you want me to play again? Sorry.
What are you doing?
Deacon asked me to play the noise again. I assume she probably meant the walrus. I don't know. She'll probably tell me a bit. Huh?
That might have been it. It sounded like a...
I don't know. I've never been up close with a walrus, so I'm not sure what a walrus sounds like. So
that kind of sounds like it's in love.
So
he's like, "Come here, baby."
That was the walrus mating call. Oh, I had a friend of mine. We went to Florida and got mesmerized by gators. And I got a sound in here for gators. I don't know what gators sound like either. And afterwards, she came back from Florida. She's like, "I want to know everything about a gator." And was like, And she calls me up one night. She goes, "I stayed up all night." I was like, "Why?" She says, "I was trying to figure out how alligators have sex."
Oh my God.
I was like, well.
You know, that actually is a really good question.
she ended up calling a DNR ranger down there and talking to him. I was like, it's too much. It's too much.
I'm going to have to look that up. Now you got me thinking.
So, well, if you want to hear some really weird animal sounds, yes, I do have a pig sound.
And outside Glenn's window. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's walrus. That's pig.
That's a pig.
Yeah, but I lost my total train of thought. Yeah, she had to know, so she called. Oh, I said if you want to hear some really strange noises, YouTube. Somebody did it to me. The sound of turtles having sex. Oh, you won't be the same afterwards.
Well, I guess turtles and alligators, because they're hard. Well, a turtle I could see because the
show's already there.
The shell ends where the tail is. But an alligator now, how does that work? They do a death roll, so do they do a sex roll too?
I don't know. All right, so we've got one of our guests back. I don't know if he's ready to come on yet though, but we've got one of our guests coming back. Or Andy's back, so but yeah, I don't know. She called and was like asking the DNR officer about how it works. So Dina, you never cease to amaze me. You turtle watching pervert, you.
Right? Like, what is happening? We're talking about alligator sex. How did this happen?
32 minutes in, and we haven't even had our series guest on yet. But yeah, we were talking about my weird animal noises. So, but yeah, if she's listening, I'm sure she'll be like, I remember him.
And you heard all the grizzly bear noise, and the tree was shaking, and somebody said it was grizzlies having sex, and boy, it sounded brutal. I thought to myself, wow.
And I was like,
I'm glad they don't like people that much.
oh,
They were shaking big trees.
all right. Well, we're going to do this here. We're going to introduce the one and only Andy.
There's only one Andy.
Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hey, guys.
How are you, Andy?
Good.
Oh, good. How's your week been?
What's that?
How has your week been?
So far, so good.
Well, good. Wait a minute. I hit the wrong button, Andy. I didn't mean to do that to you.
He's
There
hitting
we
buttons
go.
again, Brenda.
Yeah.
I
it's-
know. Hey, he just said monkeys are pervs.
Oh, Lord.
You know,
Listen, Andy, we were just talking about alligator sex. How does an alligator have sex? You know what? Screw that. I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah. I have no
Terrible.
idea. No idea. So, Andy, have you talked to Michael lately?
Yeah, I talked to him this afternoon. He's probably still on the road coming home.
Okay. Well, you can tell him later on. We're gonna. This is a weird time. We came on early. We're gonna have a serious show, and then we're gonna have another show after the serious show.
All right.
Okay. Look at this. I found a thing that says animal sex. How do crocodiles do it?
Right.
Oh,
Well, okay. I'm not. What the? How?
No. I don't want to know.
Oh,
Okay,
Lord.
Glenn, this is it. Don't
Hold on, I
ever
need
say
to
you're
find
hung
some-
like an alligator. Women will run.
I
That's
I
scary.
need to get some sexy music on here. That's what I need. So,
I cannot unsee this.
so this is something that I will not be Googling.
Okay, yeah, you can't unsee that. That's just is going on.
Little alligator sex music there. Oh, Lord.
Don't look it up. It's terrifying.
Oh. Well, as speaking of looking things up, you should always have a friend. And this is life experience, not experience, but life advice for my fans. You should always have a friend that's willing, after you pass away, within 24 hours before anybody can get to your computer or your devices, and clear your search history, delete your emails, and then gone like they were never there. Just saying.
Yeah, if they can. It happened to me.
Well, the
So-
problem, hey, y'all, Social Security killed me one time. I mean, literally, all my shit was shut off. They mixed my Social Security number up with somebody else, and they freaking counted me dead. So I had to carry
you did.
around a piece of paper from Social Security
Hey, now wait a minute.
that
So does
said
that mean
I actually was alive and I was who I said I was till they fixed it.
Mhm.
So does that mean 1 year you actually voted Democrat and Republican?
Probably. Hey, my mom passed away in 1998. Tell me in Arizona how she voted in 2020.
Very
Yeah,
carefully.
I have a true story about that, but I don't know that I should really tell that one. But during
Well, I know how it happened, but you know.
no, I don't mean about that. But 1 year we were on duty here in Atlanta, and I was on the ambulance. Actually, 2 years, and they bring the little buses of nursing home residents to the voting precincts. And they wheel them in, and we ran call. That was probably one of the busiest days of my career. We ran calls at the polling stations left and right like crazy. And so I'm working on this one call, and I look over in the little booth next to us, and there's this lady saying, you know, Mrs. Smith, you really like that fella, and you wanted to vote for him, so I'm going to go ahead and push that button for you. And she's like drooling on herself, and I'm like, you got it. This is America.
You should have smacked that woman right upside the head and
But
said,
I'm
"Excuse me, I'm sorry."
I'm
Reset.
telling you, literally, we had, I think, 27 ambulances on duty, and election day twice. I'll just leave it at that. That's all we ran. Was going in and out of these places. We even had to call in backup ambulances. It was crazy.
In a way, that's kind of nice. Because look, when I first lost my leg, they wanted to put me in a nursing home. Of course, I told them I would throw my wheelchair out the window and run away. But So I thought to myself, there's no way I could live in a place like that with those people because I'm like sound of mind.
Copy that.
So that would be
And to
kind
let you
of
know
neat
where
if I had somebody to pick me up, take me
said
to the
pop on
polls
it
and
in
stuff
if
like
you want
that.
to.
So that's kind of a good thing. But I think the nursing home shouldn't be sending people that are just sitting there and don't do anything and drool out the side of their head. That's wrong.
Okay, I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Your instant
Absolutely.
messenger.
Yeah, it's true, and I mean that really, and I'm not adding or taking away from this at all. That was probably one of the busiest days of my career, is going in and out of the polling stations.
Well, I think
It was
2024,
ridiculous.
I think I'm going to go and volunteer to work in the polling stations and stuff. I've been seriously thinking about this.
Yeah, I don't know that I have the patience, and
I got the patience, but I'll be one of those nosy people that'll make sure people ain't going to do anything stupid.
well, the problem is they're going to do stupid stuff anyhow. That's the thing. Well, okay, there's no foreign interference in our election at all. However, the Mexican, was it the president, is
Yes.
in Florida campaigning for someone against the Republican Florida that's running for president, because they don't want him to win the election because it would change the immigration laws and send people back to Mexico. Now, this is knowingly going on. I mean, it's published in newspapers. You can, if you don't want to believe me, you can fact check it and go Google it, and you'll bring up 4 or 5 news stations. So it's not a secret. How is that not
Absolutely.
foreign interference and meddling? I mean, that really, I don't understand how that isn't. So
Absolutely. It's,
who
I
am
don't,
I? I'm just a loose nut behind the wheel. So I don't know. It amazes me.
loosen up, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit nuts. Yeah, man.
What, Andy?
Mike just got home. He's doing some things at the house. Then he'll pop on here for a little bit.
Okay.
Hey, we get Mike
for-
headroom.
Well, for about the next 20 minutes, we're just going to be kind of silly. And then at 9 o'clock, we're going to have Michael on, the retired police detective, and talk about PTSD for a while. So I'm going to shoo everybody off with me and Brenda. And then we're going to open it back up once he's done. And then it'll be just like it normally was. I just kind of had to change things around a little bit. So
with Mike doing what he does and his auxiliary, he might be kind of interested in that gentleman there.
Yeah, he does the police work.
They might have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, they might. And me and him actually chatted back and forth. He's quite, gosh, he is such a busy man. We chatted back and forth for about an hour and touched on some things. So I think it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. And I also, like I said, that we got a lot of free press because of him out of it. So I appreciate that. He pushed us through some radio stations out on the West Coast that are probably going to pick this up recorded. So,
cool.
I like radio stations, man.
Yeah.
So
I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh.
Okay, I got you beat. G. Gordon Liddy. Do you know who that is?
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of G. Gordon Liddy?
No.
I know Andy. Andy, you haven't heard of G. Gordon Liddy. Wow. He started his radio debut on WJFK in Washington, D.C. And he came on between the Greaseman, which was a kind of a shock jock comedian, and Don and Mike, who were like a morning zoo kind of. He was a comedian. He was a impersonator, and they'd go back and forth. And they had a really great show. He opened up his first show in Washington, D.C., playing America the Beautiful. Then he went into the Star Spangled Banner, and then he come in and said, all right, everybody, before we get off the air today, you're all going to know how to field strip an AR-15.
Oh, Lord.
Nice.
He was well known for, and actually he's probably, and I want to see it. There's a, is it Amazon? I'm not sure who it is. Washington, D.C. Plumbers, I think it's called. And so it's a show about the Watergate. What do you call it? What do you call it? Clinton had one too. Hell, every president's had one. Some kind of it's upset everybody. Well, Clinton did that. So, but
every president's had it. Like,
yeah. Well, Clinton did that, but
beep.
Oh yeah, I got that button here somewhere. I forgot about that button.
Yeah,
there we go. No, what do they call it when you have not a conspiracy theory? You actually have something go on during your administration that causes like Ollie North with Reagan and I forgot what they call it. Anyhow, it's a big scandal. That's it. Scandal. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh,
and
yeah, every president's had one.
Yeah, every president's had one. And Watergate was a huge scandal because now my history probably isn't that great on this, but the Republicans snuck in and planted bugs in the campaign headquarters of the Democrats. And of course, the head of the Republican Party at the time was the sitting president. And so he knowingly allowed this and conspired. G. Gordon Liddy was one of the FBI agents that was supposedly in on this. The man was so loyal. He was also, prior to that, he was special forces, military. He was a pretty badass dude. He went to prison, did not give up on the president, even though the president resigned. And the president probably should have done the right thing. Nixon should have pardoned him. But anyhow, I think this might be HBO or Max. Maybe it's Max, but I think it's called DC Plumbers right now. It's a new series that's on, and I hear it is great. So I want to see it. But yeah, G. Gordon Liddy, he would always say at the end of his show, "Now I'll have you know, I'm a convicted felon. I do not own any firearms. But now Mrs. Liddy, she's loaded." So yeah, he was quite the character. He lived to be up in his 80s. He was really cool. And now he would come in and he would have guests and do stuff like this and a little bit of shtick. It got a little bit better towards the end because first he was kind of this hardcore field strip 45s and AR-15s and M16 and in Washington D.C. in the 80s. So that was kind of impressive in itself. But
I have a friend who is a firearms instructor. Mm-hmm. And I don't know this guy's brain. I swear it's so big. Every, what do they call them? Every code that there is for every law. He can pop them right off the top of his head like nothing. Oh, like the USC code for US, what is it? US everything. Code, United States Code. Yeah, United States Code. Everything. Everything. I don't care what. I
don't see how that's possible because there's no way.
Oh,
you can't.
Let me get a hold of him. I'll bring him on this show. I'm here to tell
please do. You can't get all of the USC and hardly into a library because it changes all the time. He probably only does the ones with the firearms. I can see that.
When somebody pulls him over and tries to tell him this, he'll go down the code on that. Yes, I understand what that is. And he'll just ramble it off. I don't care what it is.
Well, and I'm sure you were in law enforcement. I'm sure you also know there's probably people that do stupid things. So
yeah, but he and firearms, he knows all of them. He's one of the firearm instructors out here in Texas, and he is phenomenal. I really love the guy. He's really neat. I used to work with him, so he's pretty nice. I'll have to see if I can get a hold of him. See if he's got time one day to come on the show and talk about stuff like that.
I had a guy over in Alabama that was a real good friend of mine, and he was going to take and teach me how to shoot the rifles. I know how to shoot a rifle, but there's a skill to shooting a higher powered rifle. I've never hunted. I've shot shotguns and 22 rifles, but we never got a chance to do it before he passed away. He had a sudden heart attack, and that was something I always wanted to learn to do, was learn about the rifles and stuff. Those dangerous assault rifles. So.
Yeah, whatever.
The ones that are going to kill us all. So.
Yeah. You don't even want my opinion on that stuff because I carry. I have always carried.
And you should. You're a U.S. citizen. You have the right to. So
yeah.
It's one of our rights. So yeah. But
I was born with that thing in my hand.
I don't go that far, but I do live in Atlanta, so you never can tell what's going to happen. But yeah, I would like to. I would just, for my own knowledge, like to learn and just like to shoot some of the rifles. I've never actually tried, so
We have
I should say I've never actually tried. I've never had the opportunity. Not tried.
A friend of mine, his family owns one of the big wildlife preserves out here, and we have a portion of it set up to where we can use it as a range.
Oh, nice.
And it's really cool. And you got all the wild animals around you, and you got to watch them stupid wild turkeys. They're dumb, man. They'll walk out there while you're shooting, and they'll stand there and turn their head sideways and just stare at you, and you're like, I was hungry one day. I wanted one of them turkeys, and he told me that turkey will cost me $5,000. I was like, what?
What?
I'll go buy a frozen one from the
some
store.
Some kind of endangered turkey.
It's a wild turkey. Ain't nobody going to miss it. What, do they come out here and count them?
Wow. That's got to be some kind of endangered turkey.
It was
now,
huge.
So are you a assault rifle shooting woman?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm impressed. I never knew that. So.
That double barrel shotguns.
I've shot my grandfather's double barrel.
We went to the range one day to qualify, and my friend handed me his shotgun, and it was a single barrel. Well, he had these new things, this new ammo he's never tried. So what does he do? He sticks it in the shotgun and
hands it to you. Your turn.
Nah,
yeah. I've had
I'm
that
here
friend.
to tell you, it almost ripped off my arm and knocked me on my butt. And he was laughing. And I said, what on earth did you have in that? It was almost like shooting a stick of dynamite out of that sucker.
Wow.
And he's like, do it again, do it again. I'm like, no.
I've had that friend that, here, try this. Well, have you ever done it? No, not once. So,
and he's like 6'2", all of 360 pounds. Now he can shoot that thing. It wouldn't have moved him. I was like 118 pounds and 5 foot nothing. And I had this big old shotgun. I didn't fall. I held it right.
I fired a 12 gauge. And I think a 20 gauge is more powerful. I think I fired one of those. But
well, I don't know what it was, but whatever it was.
I did
I
get.
I had cops one time on New Year's Eve wanted to go out somewhere and go shooting. And one of my buddies, she called her shotgun Babe. So I wanted to shoot Babe. I'm little. So her partner comes up behind me and stands real close behind me. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, you'll see. I popped that sucker off, landed into him. We both fell on the ground. I landed on top of him, and I laughed and said, let's do it again. He's on the bottom of me going, no. That was fun. that was exciting. I wanted to do it again. I have way too much fun with that stuff. I mean, but I found out that when I'm in a wheelchair and I go to the range, and I'm a good shot, period.
Does it push you backwards?
I'm right-handed, but I'm left eye dominant. No, it does not. Because when my electric wheelchair is turned off, it doesn't move. You can't move it. So, but I found out when I'm sitting down, I'm a heck of a lot better shot sitting down than I am standing up. I was amazed.
It sounded like a cannon.
It was awesome. I was like, damn, I should have tried this before. Never tried shooting sitting down.
Yeah, I decided that I wanted to get a 410 shotgun. Once I got legal, old enough to shoot, because you're snake charmers. We were out camping because I was out in the woods, and and I didn't have a use for it for any other. Unlike these people today, I didn't have any other use for it besides for camping back in out in the hills of Tennessee. Hell, everybody had a shotgun at my age in Tennessee. And so I went up on my uncle's farm, and I was shooting. I'd set up the target, and I'd shoot, and I was like, oh shit! I must have shot a nest of bees. And I was like, all right, well, I'll let them calm down again. I fired again, and damn, bees. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm learning this. I'm gonna pump it up. I think it was a 4-shot, maybe. I don't know. It was a 3 or 4-shot 410, and I fired it off. The damn bees just went nuts. They're stinging me in the face, the chest, back down, and I was like, "What the hell? I got little holes in me. This is some bitch." And so I'm telling a story to my uncle. My uncle's like, where were you shooting? I told him, he goes, that's not where I told you to shoot. I'm like, well, close enough. He goes, you dumbass, you were shooting a hickory stump.
Oh, God.
The 410 was coming back and hitting me. He's like, you're lucky you didn't put an eye out or kill yourself. I'm like, who knew? So,
who knew?
So yeah, I'm not much on. I mean, I enjoy them and like going out in the range and stuff, but I had never really done anything.
I used to own a little 38 Derringer that had the double barrel one on top
that
of
had
the
some
other,
kick,
and it was small. And when I would go out,
38 on top and bottom.
Yeah, and it was small. And when I would go to the club, I would put it in my bra under my boob. I'd put it under there, and nobody knew I had it. And it was small, but it was pretty neat. I don't remember what happened to that. I think I sold it.
You had to throw it off a bridge after you shot somebody?
No, I never shot anybody with that. I attempted.
I'm not even asking.
I wanted to, but just to see what would happen. I had a good friend. Hey man, let me shoot you in the leg with this so I can see what happened. He's like, sure.
Okay. Did he have a prosthetic leg? Never mind.
No.
Never mind. Don't want to know.
And then I said, I need a kidney. He's like, which one? I'm like, I like this guy. He had universal blood. If I needed blood, he's like, take me to the hospital with you. Hook him up. Had my own blood donor and everything. It's nice when you find friends like that.
I did shoot myself in the eye on another occasion, but that's a totally different story and a very complicated
Would you shoot
story.
yourself in the eye with? Darts don't count.
No, it's hard to shoot yourself in the eye with a dart. No, we were out at the range. Well, it wasn't range. We went to Pennsylvania to my best friend Ken's dad's farmhouse, and the 45 misfired. It was the last time I fired that gun, and I still wish I had that gun. 45 misfired and ejected the shell straight back into my eye. And I actually heard that. Yeah. And so I had to go get seen at the eye doctor. I had to go to urgent care, and I went to urgent care, and they were like, well, there's a bunch of sick people, and the guy goes, what are you here for? And I said, well, I shot myself in the eye. And he's like, excuse me?
Those things come out so hot. One time, one hit my hair and melted my hair.
Well, he told me it took a chunk out, but luckily it was just the white part of the eye. So he said, luckily it seared it as it went. So it didn't do a whole lot of damage. I was like, well, I guess I got lucky. Yeah.
Genius.
Well, it was young and stupid. I showed him, and he's like, why weren't you wearing glasses? And I'm like, that's a good question. Because you were wearing hearing protection, weren't you? Yeah,
I didn't wear those either.
What'd you say, Doc?
Yeah, I'm one of those, what do you call it? Naked. When I ride a bike, when I'm on the back of a motorcycle, I don't wear a helmet. When I go to the range,
I was going to say, when you're riding a bike, you like to ride a bike naked.
Yeah,
I'm going to Texas.
But I don't wear ear
Deacon will be there in 2 hours. It's about 6 hours from there.
There you go. But I don't wear that. I don't wear the eye goggles. I just freestyle. There you go. That's what it's called. I'm not naked. That's okay. We'll figure it out.
So what do you do, naked Andy?
When I was on the back of somebody's bike, I was wearing like this shirt that was what do you call it? It was loose, kind of like a bandana shirt, and the wind hit me, and that shirt went up over my head. I was like, whoa.
I always liked the bikers that wore the shirt that said the back of the shirt. It said, "If you can read this, the bitch fell off." I always liked those shirts. Old Ray Stevens song. Don't look, Ethel. Yes, Danny, you reminded me.
I used to hang out with bikers. I honestly, you know what I'm gonna tell you? I have learned that I would trust a biker and a homeless person before I would trust a politician in a suit. I've learned that. I trust.
Well, I mean, no, yeah, as a paramedic on the street, I can't say I had that experience.
I trust.
One of the bikers, I never had a problem with bikers. Bikers were usually when I saw them, they were drunk and had been fighting. But
Oh, I trust the spirits that come by and talk to me all the time more than I trust anybody in a suit politician.
Well, so, there, once again, how do you not know that the mysterious spirit is not being a little bit, having fun? They ain't got anything else to do for eternity. So how do you know they're not having a little fun, telling jokes, making up stuff on people?
I've learned a few things about people that I know from people that passed away from them. It's kind of funny. It is. Like,
I'll take your word on it. I'm not sold on it yet. So
I'm waiting for somebody that we know. I'm waiting for I've actually summoned and wanted somebody from their past to come and talk to me.
What she said is, Glenn, when you die, you got to come talk to me. Huh? Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
I'll be right behind you.
That's what I always say, because, I'll be right back when I die. But before I come back, I have a few things to take care of.
I want to be that voice on the shortwave or AM radio dial when you tune up and down and you hear it. I want that to be me. So.
Oh, do you? So what you're saying is you're not going to be able to talk without an EMF reader.
Yeah, exactly.
Be like, who is this? What?
Yeah.
A, B, C.
So you're hearing Andy hit the keyboards there one at a time.
Andy, what are you doing?
La 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 la.
He's tuned us out.
Oh. Well, that's I guess the way to do it.
Andy's
By the way,
I don't want
Andy,
nothing to do with those crazy
hello.
people.
Sorry, I was messaging somebody.
Oh. It's got a hot date?
No,
Andy's
send it an
got
email.
a girlfriend. Andy's got a girlfriend.
No, Andy, don't.
Got a hot date. Hey, I just got an email. Andy, was that you?
Yeah, we're going to IHOP.
We're going to
I
IHOP.
love you.
IHOP. Yeah, that's about where we'd go, right? Me with one leg. I hop, you hop.
It took me a minute. I got that one now.
You know what? Woo!
Yeah. Here I'm just thinking.
I think I need to be like everybody else, and I need to go to the people that own IHOP and say, "Look, this offends me because you hop and I cannot hop."
Yeah.
Do you get free food if you go in there and do that?
I don't know. I
don't
try
know.
it. I like their pancakes. I'll be like,
One of my friends told me he was probably going to be late tuning in because he had to go to internet. Yeah, it's IHOP, International House of Pancakes, right? Yeah, IHOP.
International House of Pancakes.
Because apparently Wednesday night at like 8:00 is the senior citizen where you get free or reduced meals. So I was like,
Wow.
we went to high school together, dude. I was like, he's like, don't tell anyone. I'm like,
I get, what's funny is when I go to like a buffet, they always ask, are you military? Nope. And then they'll say, are you, I say, no, but I'm old. And they'll just kind of look at me and say, no, you're not. Actually, yes, I am. I'm a lot older than you think I am.
you are pretty old. So
and I told her, I said, how old are you? I bet you're old enough to be my kid. And she says, well, I'm 28. I said, oh, my daughter's 38. Try it again. You're old enough to be my kid. Okay, I'll give you a discount.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't asked for a discount anywhere yet as far as the senior citizens. So. I used to hate going in on duty, going to McDonald's or somewhere, and you go in and you're in a hurry already, but you're in line, and they ring you up and they go, "Oh wait, I forgot to give you your discount," and then they stop and they look at you, go, "Oh wait a minute, you're not a cop," and they take the discount back. Oh, it used to make me so mad. I'd be like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" But yeah, they would do that. So, all right, well, yeah, it was crazy. All right, so, well, attention everyone. Let's just play out. I kind of like that. We have our special guest here. Michael is retired military. He's retired from the police service. I'm gonna let him tell his whole story a whole lot more than me because he's better at it than me. But he left in 2018 from the service or from the force, and went into helping others with post-traumatic stress and PTSD and effects of trauma on the people. He's pretty much dedicated his life to trying to help with that cause, and he's going to be quite a guest. So, Andy, you're more than welcome to stay on. I'm not kicking you off. You're just going to be a smaller window. So, without further ado, here is Michael. If you have any questions, jump in, Andy. Michael, hello there. Welcome to the show. We are so glad you're here.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you're here. I kind of messed up. Normally, I scheduled a show starting at 9, and I somehow started at 8. And we sent me a message like, "No, wait, I started at 9." And I was like, "Oh, crap, I did screw this up." So I told you, I'm still learning. So,
no worries. It's all good. I'm here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I kind of hit the highlights there and probably didn't do it justice.
It's a long story. I'll try to make it short. Basically, I went into the Air Force in 1998 as a second lieutenant. I went into security forces, which is basically military police, anti-terrorism, force protection, air-based ground defense, foreign airfield assessments, nuclear security, you name it, a whole bunch of cool stuff. I did 6.5 years active duty. I served in the Middle East, South America, Europe, got out as a captain honorably in 2004. And I went straight into civilian law enforcement here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I did a bunch of different things from regular patrol officer to field training officer, detective. I was undercover on a California statewide drug task force where we focused on mid to high level drug dealers, including cartels, and was promoted to sergeant in 2012, was running teams on the street. And I was involved in a very traumatic incident December 27th, 2012, which really changed my life. It changed my path, my trajectory, and it led me on a downward spiral to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore. I literally started putting myself in very dangerous situations, hoping I died in line of duty. Until finally I got the strength and courage to ask for help. And that's what I'm doing today is I'm sharing my story, showing people that they're not alone, that there is hope, and there's a whole new life on the other side of post-traumatic stress injury, what I like to call it, versus disorder. So PTSI is what I strongly advocate for.
I like that. Yeah. When you said that, it brought something right to mind. When I was on the streets in one of the busier metropolitan Atlanta departments, we went through a rash. When I say a rash, of course, firefighters work at 24/48, so you're 1 on 2 off. And every shift we were seeing, and we started talking to the other shifts, we started seeing these officer-involved crashes that were all high speed. And we're like, man, we know that they're all, law enforcement has always been shorthanded. But then we started talking, there were no brake marks or skid marks. And we started paying attention, and nobody was addressing that. And it's even the fire department started going and saying, hey, look over here. And we started noticing, and that was the first thought that come to mind, and I had never given it a second thought at that point in time. I guess I was still early enough in my career where I was a little naive, but yeah.
Well, the facts are that suicide is the #1 killer, not just for law enforcement, but for firefighters, paramedics, dispatchers, and organizations called Blue Help has kind of been instrumental in tracking the numbers. And as good as the numbers are, they're very underreported. I estimate at least 3 to 4 times underreported. But last year alone, just law enforcement, we had 160 reported suicides. And I think this year so far, we're up to 40. And that's not counting, like I said, firefighters, paramedics, or dispatchers. And so it is a true epidemic. And it's, we don't talk about it because there's this big stigma associated with talking about mental health, asking for help, or admitting that we have issues that we can't deal with on our own because it's looked at as being weak or shameful. And that's not the case. What I've learned is that it takes true strength and courage to actually talk about this stuff and to ask for help when you need it most.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Agreed. Even in fire service, I'm 3rd generation. Yeah. It was always something that, oh, well, you just walk it off. You'll be okay. Or, and even when I went through the symposiums class, which people may not know, I don't know if y'all heard that. That was a gunshot. CISM, critical incident stress management. they have the firefighters they send a bunch of us, a team of us, that one from each shift to classes. And even then, I mean, it was good training and the peer support was the best. But even then we were taught pretty much to, I won't say put it in a sock drawer and tuck it away, but that was kind of the attitude that administration had and the way the class led. And even then I wondered, well, the peer support part, you know, talking to your peers and stuff is good, but what are you going to do when that sock drawer gets full?
Exactly. And, you know, here's the thing is back in 2012, when my shooting happened, you know, my agency was very progressive. We're here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we had peer support. We had contracted therapists. We had policies, procedures, all these things, but nobody used it. And I didn't use it. I didn't trust it. I didn't believe in it. And a lot of agencies will check the box, but it really comes down to is the culture of an organization or an agency. If the culture is not established that it's normal and it's okay to, you know, express your feelings or talk about emotions or just, you know, talk about a crappy day or feelings after going to a traumatic scene, whether it's a bad car accident or a suicide or child abuse case, then nobody's going to use this stuff. And that's where we really have to change this culture, because you could have the best programs in the world, but if nobody's using them, what's the point? I mean, they're completely useless.
Absolutely. I've had situations like that. And when I lost my leg, it's like I had to put it upon myself to get myself through what happened. It was really hard. I didn't have anybody to talk to, and I always kept a smile on my face, and I always hid a lot of what really bothered me. But I pulled through it pretty good, and I did it by myself, and it was rough. So it's nice when you have places to go for help. You know, I think it's really nice. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I hear you have a book.
I do. So yeah, we actually have a best-selling book. It came out April of last year, and I co-wrote it with Dr. Shauna Springer. She's a clinical psychologist, what I would call a culturally competent clinician. She actually spent most of her career working with combat veterans, with the VA, Veterans Administration, and with TAPS, which is Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, as well as first responders. So she truly gets it. And we collaborated right before COVID happened and started working on this project where it's kind of dual faceted. So the first part of every chapter is my story told in my voice. It goes all the way back to childhood until current day. And the second half, Dr. Springer literally breaks everything down, explains it in a global sense, very easy to understand terms, so that anybody reading this book will truly see the human side behind the badge and the uniform. And this book is literally, it's saving relationships, it's saving careers, but most importantly, this book is saving lives every single day. So far, it's been sold in 7 different countries, and we've been a #1 bestseller in both Canada and the United States. And it's just literally groundbreaking. I don't know of any other books out there that encompass both sides, like literally a gut-wrenching, gripping, true life story of a first responder balanced by a clinical psychologist with answers and solutions and a path forward to recovery.
I'm gonna have to look that book up. I'm gonna have to find it, because I've had, just going through what I went through with the department, with everything, and then trauma I had when I was a child. So I get a buildup once in a while. The way I release is I lock myself in my room and just sit and cry for a day or so. And then it's like, okay, I got to stop this. I got to whip out of this.
So now I know when to call you.
Yeah.
See, but it's okay to cry. That's the thing.
Yeah,
especially for men. Men, we're told as young boys growing up that, you're a boy, you're a guy, a man. You don't show feelings. You don't show emotions. And the fact is, it's normal. It's a normal response. And
it is.
It relieves some of that pressure and some of that negativity and takes some of that weight off your shoulders. And so, we have to learn to not suppress those emotions. I mean, we can control as far as where we share them or how we share them, but we need to understand that we need a safe place, whether that's at home with, loving family members, or at work with a solid support system, or clinicians, therapists, group meetings, pastors, priests, you name it. There's all kinds of different resources out there and trusted people that we can turn to. But we've got to learn to establish those relationships early on and not wait till that huge traumatic incident happens where sometimes it's too late.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I do agree.
I knew I was messed up as a paramedic. Granted, I've done this for 35 years. I've done it in the rural hills. I've done it in the major cities, the smaller cities. So I've been around. And I knew it was messed up in the head, but I didn't think it was that bad. The injury took me, for those of you that don't know, I was attacked on duty in 2020 by a dog, pit bull. 3 surgeries later, hey, I'm still at home. But I knew it was messed up, but they sent me, my moment, 2 moments of realization was I was at the orthopedic surgeon, and I had been through the physical therapy. I had been through the occupational therapy. I'd been through every therapy but this therapy. And the orthopedic hand surgeon, he's the specialist for the Atlanta Braves, the Hawks, the Falcons, the Bulldogs. He knows his stuff about hands. And I was fully prepared because the therapists and occupational physical therapy are like, you're ready to go back to work. You got this, that. I mean, I knew, but I was still faking it with my left hand that I just can't grip. I don't have the skills and the movement and whatever. But I had it in my head. I was 100% ready. I was going back to work, and I had built myself up. And Doc came in, and he sat on the table, and I sat in the chair. And he said, it's been, I don't remember, 9 months, I think, since the post-op. He said, we're not getting what we want. And I'm like, well, it'll be all right. We work as a team. I'm making excuses. And after a few minutes, he stopped me. He said, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Glenn, you're never going to be a paramedic firefighter again. And at that moment, I completely lost my shit. And I hate to sound like that and say that, but at that moment, because I had the voice of authority telling me I was done. I already knew it, but I built myself up. And I was so bad. He was worried about me. I mean, I was luckily my wife had went with me for this appointment, and he said, "You have PTSD," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, no, I don't. It was bad news. I wasn't ready for it." And he said, "I can diagnose you with that because I'm a hand specialist." He goes, "So I'm sending you to a specialist." And so I got then drug into the workers' compensation with being batshit crazy and injured. So it was an even more fun melee, but it was a funny story there, and I'll stop about me because the show isn't about me. It's about you. It's about everybody else out there. The first counselor they had for me, this is still during COVID, and he is at home sitting in his bed with a polo on and doing his little notes on his laptop. Sorry. And it's a true story, I swear to God. He asked me, he said, well, tell me some of the stories. And so, I'm rolling off war stories, and I'm sure you've got them too, Michael. It's natural. It's part of even Andy has war stories. And, so it's just normal. And he goes, where did this occur? And I said, well, it occurred in this county where I worked. He said, well, what part of the county? And I said, well, I worked in this part and this part. And I said, this is the worst part. My therapist started crying. He lived in those parts of town. He ghosted me from then on out. So, it's a true story. I made a therapist cry. I was like, well, maybe this is my second moment of realization. I am not crazy. So,
well, here's part of the problem, though, and you just hit it on the head, is that a lot of times first responders or military members, they'll go through like an EAP program or something through work, and they won't be referred to a culturally competent therapist. And it's absolutely critical because we're very unique because of the jobs that we do. And, we're exposed literally to hundreds and hundreds of traumatic incidents over our career. And, it's never just one incident. There's a tipping point. So like for me, I was involved in a fatal shooting, and that was my tipping point. But prior to that, I had been involved in hundreds of traumatic incidents, just like our dispatchers, our firefighters, our paramedics. And if you take a full career, 20, 30-year career, you're talking about conservative estimates like 500 and up critical incidents, where the average person may have 1 or 2 an entire lifetime. And so if you go see a therapist who has never dealt with first responders, doesn't know what we do, doesn't know what we're exposed to, our culture, you're going to walk out of that office worse than you were before you went in. And that's why you have to go see somebody who's culturally competent. I mean, it is critical, because if you don't, it can make things much, much worse. And so, and I've heard story after story, just like you said, where first responders actually felt guilty because they felt like they traumatized their therapist. And they said, you know what? I'm never going to go to a therapist again. I'm never going to talk about this. I'm never going to share it. And so they bottle it up and they start to nosedive, and things start to go, bad real quick. And so I'm glad you brought that example up, because I've heard that happen to people time and time again. And it's so important, like I said, that they have to be culturally competent.
Yep.
Yeah. I was lucky. The psychiatrist through workers' comp, he was actually a professor here at Emory. And he said, I don't know what happened to that guy. He said, I can't get in touch with him. I mean, I think they finally found there was nothing wrong with it, but yeah, it freaked him out. So he didn't want to deal with first responders anymore. And he was apparently fresh out of, I assume, a 4 or 6 year program, but he said, I'm going to put on your chart, because there's a period with workers' comp, you get sent to your primary insurance, that you need a specialist. And I was like, oh, great. This is going to go good with Kaiser, because Kaiser is the specialist. If you have Kaiser, I'm sure, out on the West Coast. And
absolutely,
I got so fortunate. Kaiser was like, no. You need a trauma therapist is what you need. You need a person dedicated to trauma, somebody that deals with trauma. Now, we can't guarantee you we're going to get you one that was a cop or a fireman or whatever, but we can get you. And they wanted to do the EMD, but EMR, EMD,
EMDR.
EMDR. Okay. There was nobody close enough to me, but they got me to a trauma therapist. So I was lucky, but you're right. There are so many. And thinking back during my career at one of the stations in that busy department, the paramedic that I relieved committed suicide. And the paramedic that relieved me, he was so distraught over it. He came in, and we keep like a little logbook of our station duties, everything you do from sweeping and mopping to the cause you're in. He wrote a 4-page journal entry and quit that day, left all of his gear and everything at like 4 a.m. And so our department had a absolute history of it that was rampant through the administration. And so, yeah. But I got lucky. Yeah. Well, Kaiser, when they sent me to trauma, the doctor said, I literally don't want to talk to you. And I was like, well, I felt that made me feel even more strange, but I realized afterwards that, I'm going to get to that there is a specialist for that. And one of the persons in the audience, Deacon, has asked, how do you find a culturally competent therapist?
Well, the most obvious thing you can do is try to Google search or search on the internet and type in, first responder therapists or military therapists. And you've got to check their background. You've got to look at their training, their experience. And, oftentimes some of these clinicians are prior firefighters or cops, but that's not a necessity. You don't have to be a prior first responder to be culturally competent. You have to have somebody who specifically has gone to training, gone to classes, gone to programs like the West Coast Post-Trauma Retreat, which is a program I went through, where they learn how to interact and understand and deal with first responders. But there's also several nonprofits out there who are good sources. Cortico is a company which came out with the Cortico Wellness app. And a lot of first responder agencies across the nation are starting to use this app. And they go out and actually find the vetted, culturally competent therapists. And they bring all that information into a specialized app for each agency or each department. And most often, too, within an agency or department, you can contact your peer support specialist, and they should know of some culturally competent therapists in your area. In addition to that, in our book, Relentless Courage, Winning the Battle Against Frontline Trauma, we actually have an extensive resource section, which has hotlines, text lines, different programs that you can go to, and they have endless resource and contacts that can point you in the right direction.
Very good. Yeah. Well, you and I talked earlier. I got a copy of the book. I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet. So, I will have a copy of the book. But you don't even know you're battling this half the time. It's part of the funniest thing to me. Is that what you're going to say, Brenda?
Yep.
Somebody actually brought this up in the beginning, and I'm going to bring it up now. We talk about in the book, but childhood trauma. So, most first responders don't want to talk about childhood. They don't want to talk about childhood trauma. But the truth is that many military members and many first responders have some form of childhood trauma. Now, let me clarify that statement. It could be on the minor end of the spectrum, what I consider, which could be, maybe just a parent that worked a lot that wasn't home. Or maybe it was a parent that was emotionally distant or wasn't affectionate or loving or expressive in their feelings. Or it could be on the severe end of the spectrum, like physical abuse, sexual abuse. It could be a parent or relative that was an alcoholic or an addict. But my point here is that as young children, we actually learn to overcome adversity, to be resilient, to be decisive, to make decisions, to be strong, to put up this front in this image that nothing's going to hurt us, nothing's going to harm us. And the ironic thing is that those qualities actually make us very good at what we do. They make us very good first responders. And they lend us to seek out these careers, not as just a random job or profession, but for most people, it's a calling where they truly want to help people. They want to make a difference. The problem here is that, we grow up and we become these first responders and we find these new families. Now we're these strong badasses who are invincible. We're out there on the street. We're taking charge or making decisions. And to go back and acknowledge our childhood is going to make us feel weak and vulnerable. And nobody wants to do that. And I was one of those people. I had a father who became an addict and an alcoholic. And he wasn't there during my early teen years. And I didn't realize the effect that had on me, the abandonment, and how that later transferred to my agency when they turned their back on me when I was trying to get better. And that's a big thing that we talk about in the book, which is called admin betrayal or institutional betrayal or moral injury. And what I found is that's actually the part in our book that is resonating most with people. It's not the trauma exposure. It's not the suicide aspects. It's literally our blue family and red family when they turn their back on us, when we find out that we're just a number filling a position, and all those years of dedication and work and sacrifice were meaningless. And they either want us back right now working or they want us off the books. And that's the reality. And that's what's hitting home. And that's why, when I talked to you earlier about the book, when you're reading this and when everybody's reading this, whether you're a first responder or not, you're going to keep saying, me too, because this book isn't about me. It's about everybody. And I'm not unique or special. I'm just willing to talk about this stuff, to bare my soul, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what this is about. Like I said, is that people are going to read this and they're going to see that, wow, I'm not alone, that the feelings I have, they're not strange. There's not something wrong with me. I'm actually normal. And that's the key to this, is learning that this is all normal. And there is help and there is hope.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a little that stung because when you were talking about betrayal, I think it was one of the, because I asked some of my coworkers, some retired coworkers, I said, why is it after all this, I've never had a problem, nothing's going on, and now, and they were like, well, first you were the victim. Okay, can see that. I got that. Yeah, I was the victim, and now the things changed. I was no longer in charge of the call was in charge of me. Yeah, okay, I kind of get that one. But then they said, where's all your coworkers? Where's all your peers? I mean, the first thing, I don't know how it is out there, but the first thing that my employer did was tell me that I couldn't enter a city facility. I couldn't go to my fire station. You eat, sleep, and breathe with these guys. So yeah, it was abandonment, and when you said that, I was like, wow, that stung a little bit, because it's true. And I don't know that in some cases it probably is by administration, and others, and I was probably guilty of it too. You probably just don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the one that was injured. You don't want to be the one that looks sad or whatever the reason may be that you're not working. You don't want to be that guy. So you just kind of push him aside. So, wow. Yeah. That one stung a little bit. But I had not heard that until you put it in those words. And then part of the trauma therapy, I'm told, or being told, is where you do start and you go back through the childhood. So we're just starting with that with me. So she's like, this is going to hurt. And I'm like, good times.
Well, that's the key, is that we have our childhood trauma, and then we have our work-related trauma that's piled on top of that. And then you take that third layer, which is the admin betrayal or the institutional betrayal. And so you've got to work on all three layers of this trauma. And yeah, it does go back to childhood, but that doesn't negate or take away, like I said, the countless traumatic incidents that we're exposed to on the job. And so realize that these are separate layers, they are separate issues. And in my case, I first worked on my work trauma because that to me was the easiest. It was the most obvious. And even when I went through some specialized programs, I was in complete denial about my childhood trauma because I pushed it so far away and created this kind of perfect image in what I thought was a perfect life. And I didn't want to open that door. I didn't want to open Pandora's box. And it wasn't until I went to another program called Save a Warrior. And I want everybody to write this down. I want you to Google it after this episode. It's called Save a Warrior. It's for any first responder, whether you're retired, active, or on injury. It's also for any military member, whether you're a veteran or you're active duty. And this program focuses on that childhood trauma. And when I went through this program, it was actually a year after I medically retired. It was life-changing for me. And the best part is this program is free. It costs absolutely nothing. It's actually based in Ohio. You have to get yourself there, but the program itself is free. It's about 3.5 days. They provide food, housing, everything. And it's all peer-led. So when you go there, it's not co-ed. There's separate cohorts for men and women. And you're there with other first responders and or military members. And let me tell you, I would have paid over $100,000 for what this program gave me. And it was free. So remember, Save a Warrior. Phenomenal program.
I see, with me, I took that job because of what I went through with my childhood trauma. It made me feel bigger. Like nobody else could ever do what happened to me ever again. Then when that crashed and burned, I had that abandonment. So yeah, it's like I never really looked at that like that till you said it. I did steps and I never really looked at it like that.
But look at just this audience right here. So all four of us, maybe, I'm assuming, maybe not, but at least 3 of us out of 4 have childhood trauma. And so look at the odds, look at the numbers. And that's the thing, is that Dr. Springer, who is a licensed psychologist, she explains the impact of this. And she explains why it is that we choose these professions and what happens when our agencies turn our back on us. So that's the beauty, is this book, it has the story, but it also has the answers and the solutions on how to get through it and come out the other side.
That's pretty good. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be one that, like you said, I'm probably going to be why me. That's my story, and beginning to end of the whole book quickly. So,
well, we're going to do another episode after you guys read it. I want all 3 of you to read the book, and I guarantee you're going to have a list of topics and questions that you're going to want to talk about. I guarantee it.
I'm sure. I think and I told my therapist, I think part of the podcast for me was doing that, because now I find myself, of course, I also, was a firefighter, paramedic. There was a flight medic around the world. And I don't go out now. After this, I don't go out. And I know that sounds bad, but you and Andy have a little different story, but I don't go out, and so it was odd to me. So I think, I told my therapist, I think this is part of the reason I like doing this. Plus I get to meet different people of different backgrounds and things. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we interviewed a MMA boxer. Is she a boxer or a fighter? Whatever. She's a fighter. Just different things. I think that this is one of my outlets. And she's like, well, that's good. We can find something else. So we'll see.
Well, it's a journey. I mean, I used to be the same way, where I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to socialize. But now I'm going to concerts all the time. I'm going to baseball games, hockey games, comedy shows. And this takes work. Nothing happens overnight. And the thing is that the solutions, they're different for everybody. There's not one magic thing that works for everybody. Like you mentioned EMDR in the beginning. I tried that. It didn't work for me, but I've seen it work for countless people. And so for me, it was a combination of, peer support meetings, therapy, it was West Coast post-trauma retreat, Save a Warrior, meditation, working out. I mean, all kinds of different things. And even though I'm on the other side of this, there's things that I have to do to maintain it, to maintain my mental fitness, my physical fitness. And so, like I said, it will get better. And there will be a point, I assure you, that if you address this and work on it and you put in the work, you'll get out of that. Eventually, slowly, you will get out. You will start doing some more things because you're going to feel that comfort level come back.
Right. Every day is like a learning, even with me, every day is like a different learning experience on something. Well, now, if I don't like it, I push it away. If I'm comfortable with it, then you embrace it, you know? Dealing with that stuff that you push away, you got to do it like one piece at a time. Yeah. Exactly.
And you have to know what triggers you. And a trigger is, you know, it could be anything. For some people, it's a smell. It could be a sight. It could be a sound. It could be something that somebody's wearing or something that somebody's doing. Or like in your case, I'm sure it's a dog, you know, or a dog barking or whatnot. And so recognizing your triggers, you know, trying to avoid those things or knowing how to address it when it happens, whether that's breathing or, you know, removing yourself from the situation or grounding techniques. There's all kinds of different things that you can learn to do once you're triggered. But the key is also knowing how your body is reacting when you're triggered, because there's a physiological change that goes along with the psychological. And so when you know how to address both those things, it makes life much, much easier. But again, you know, I avoid stress. I do not handle stress like I used to. When I was a cop, I could handle any and all stress 24/7. But now I don't handle stress so well. And so I try to live a lifestyle where I minimize, you know, every amount of stress that I can. And of course, you can't escape it. We all have life issues, health issues, financial issues, family problems. But again, I control what I can and avoid the things that I know are going to set me off.
Yep.
Yeah, it was one of the questions I wanted to ask about was your avoidance, because everything, like you said, is a different trigger. And if you still had them even after, you know, such a period of time as yours. So
I do, absolutely. So like, you know, my fatal shooting involved a guy with a butcher knife that was trying to kill a couple and then was trying to kill me. So as an example, I was at the gym last week and there was an older gentleman who had a giant buck knife on the outside of his shorts. And I literally could not take my eyes off that knife. You know, it was folded, it was in plain view, but anytime I see a knife or I see, you know, like you can see the knife clip if somebody's got it like in their front pant pocket or their jeans pocket, I like hyper focus on that. And I have to watch that person, you know, until I separate myself from them or leave that situation because of the knife. And that's just, you know, one example. Another example is, and I talk about this in the book, was when I was a brand new police officer, I had to go to an autopsy where this elderly lady had been half burnt. And so literally I saw them, you know, cutting this body open with charred flesh falling off, and the smell was horrible. And so to this day, I don't know if you ever like try cooking on the stove and occasionally like the hair on your hand or your fingers get singed and you can smell that burnt hair smell. And it takes me right back to that autopsy room. And that's just, you know, two examples. And again, it's different for everybody, but you know, for some people it's like fireworks. It could be a car backfiring. It could be the smell of smoke oftentimes for firefighters, or it could be a child crying, you know, in like a child death case or child abuse case. And so just knowing what your own triggers are, or if you're a loved one or a family member of somebody that gets triggered, that's important too, is that you have to share this information with your family and your loved ones so that they know, and they know how you're going to react and what they can do to help mitigate that and minimize, you know, your reaction or the adverse side effects to that.
See, now in my case, I don't mind the autopsy stuff. That doesn't bother me. I also spent 10 years working
well, I got a trauma story with that.
So, but with me, what triggers me is when I'm in a parking lot and there's cars driving around me. That's a real big one. And then men in suits. Can't be around them. Walk the other way. Can't do it. So it's really rough. And I don't talk to my family about a lot of stuff. I do keep a lot of things from them. And in my case, I think it's because I don't feel enough of them would even understand. So I have good friends that I talk to, and everybody needs those. And believe it or not, I can say more to them than I can to family. And I know it's not supposed to be like that, but it is.
But that's okay. I mean, as long as you have somebody that you trust that you can go to and talk to, that's the most important part, is that if you're keeping it inside constantly, you're not getting that off your shoulders. Yep. That's the problem. And, you know, we don't have to share it with everybody. Some people don't need to know. And some people, like you said, aren't going to be able to handle it. They're not going to know how to support it. But knowing who can and knowing that you can go to those people, that's what's key.
Yeah. Hey, Glenn, I'll be right back. I've got to let the cat out. She's going to kill me if I don't.
Okay. We don't interfere with the cat. Of course, a live stream murder might not be too bad. Yeah, for ratings. Yeah. When you were talking about that, you were talking about stressors. One of the things I always said, you don't get to watch a lot of TV shows as a paramedic in the fire station because you're not there. And everybody's like, oh, firemen sit on the couch. Firemen might, but not the firefighter paramedics. They don't, or the EMTs. And so at home, I would always try and say, I'm not going to watch these crime shows. I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to watch that. Watch sports. And I still live by pretty much that motto. Fast forward to the beginning of the season when the Buffalo Bills football player was tackled on the field at the beginning of the game. Wow. I was in the middle of trauma therapy. I couldn't leave the TV. Matter of fact, I stayed on whatever ESPN, I think, did a really good job. They went and stayed live for like 12 hours. And then when they went off, I went to another show. I stayed up literally. That one had me so rattled, so spooked. And I was like, and I have ran a call where I've been the paramedic laying in the middle of the football field, putting a tube in somebody's throat while they're doing CPR. It was a soccer field. It wasn't as anybody as famous as this gentleman. You're all important when you're that sick, but yeah. And it was just like, I was suddenly just right there. I was fixated and I couldn't get off of it. And that set me back. And I mean, I knew it set me back, but I couldn't figure out why. And it was like, this is the craziest thing. And I was like, but then I was like, well, I watch sports to get away. I watch sports to relax. And suddenly the two worlds collided right there on TV, you know? And so, yeah, it was, that was rough. But now talking about, and that's something that I've had a problem with. How do family member, what's the best way when you're dealing with this? And sometimes you don't even know when you're dealing with this because as responders, we're also horrible spouses. In multiple ways, besides for the hours and the job and the stress and blah, blah, blah. How do you talk to, or not how do you get the family to understand what you're going through? Because a lot of times, if you've been in this for a little bit, they've already had you, you're gone for 24 hours. They've already tuned you out some. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, first off, I'm going to tell you right now that this book, so having your family members read it, whether it's your, teen children, adult children, your spouse, your partner, and then coming together and having a conversation. I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten where this happened, where a spouse got the book and they read it, then they gave it to their first responder partner. They read it separately. And after they were both done, they came together and had that conversation for the first time, literally in their relationship, in their lives, because it bridged the gap. It let them understand, well, this was normal, and they understand some of the aspects and effects of this. But on the other side of that, I encourage all first responders to, bring work home. And when I say that, to talk about when you have a crappy day. Don't make your family walk on eggshells and think that it's them that you're pissed off at when you're not. It's because you had a really bad day. And I'm not talking about going into graphic details. I'm simply saying, hey, if you come home after a bad shift or a bad day, communicate and say, look, I'm really sorry, but I went to a really bad car accident today, a vehicle versus a pedestrian. I just need some time to decompress. I'm going to go up and take a shower. Let me get it together. We'll come back down and we can chat. We can have a discussion, that type of thing. But you have to have open lines of communication, and it's never too late to start this. And that was one of the big mistakes I made. I didn't do this because I thought by not talking about the job, I was protecting my family, when in reality, I was doing the opposite. And when it came time where I needed that discussion, I didn't have that support. I didn't have that understanding. And so just know that it's not too late to start this discussion. But if you don't know how, man, read this book in the privacy of your own home, separately by yourself, and then give it to your partner or your child or whoever. I've even had, parents of adult first responders read this book, and it's really bridged the gap and opened up lines of communications.
Yeah, you do think you're protecting them. It's true. I mean, I can remember coming home from bad shifts, and the kids weren't ready for school, getting up ready for school yet. By the time I come in from work, and unplugging their alarm clock, grabbing a bottle of Jack Daniels, propping my feet up, and flipping on ESPN. I mean, I can remember that, and they were like, "Well, why are we staying home?" I'm like, I just don't feel like you should go to school today. Yeah, and you think you're protecting them. So, and I know that sounds weird, but you see things out there. It's really, somebody once described it as we see the stuff that goes on in third world countries or countries at war, but it's in our backyard and people just overlook it every day.
Absolutely. And I equate it to like the military, right? I'm prior military.
Yes.
And the general public understands that military members may have post-traumatic stress. Some, not all, but not actually, most military members don't even go to combat. But the ones that do, they go to hostile areas, hostile zones. The enemy is pretty well defined. They're in that for a defined period, whether that's 6 months or a year. Maybe they do 1, 2, 3 tours in their career, but they come back home. They're stateside, they're at their base, they're safe. But for first responders, especially law enforcement, we're literally in combat every single day for 20 to 30 years. And the public, for some reason, doesn't equate post-traumatic stress with law enforcement. Yet, like I said, we're always on heightened alert. I mean, every contact, every call, every stop is a potential lethal threat. Even just going to Starbucks and getting coffee on our break or getting a meal, somebody could come in and want to gun us down. And so there is no downtime. There is no safe zone. I mean, we're literally on heightened alert 24/7, even when we go home, even when we're off duty. And yet, again, the public doesn't understand this. They don't realize it. And we need to do a better job as first responders in educating the public as to what we do, to what we see, and more importantly, to show them that we're human, that we care, that these things do affect us, that we're not just these like robots in uniform who have no feelings that just go out there and do our job and nothing phases us, because that could be the farthest from the truth. And I know many think that, what, I'm detached, I'm not going to let this stuff bother me. And you can tell yourself that, but I'm going to tell you right now that deep down, it's building up and it is having an effect. And all we need to do is normalize it and just talk about it after things happen. Doesn't have to be a big ordeal, but just get it off our chest, share our feelings. But what do? And you just said this, Glenn. We turn to negative coping mechanisms like alcohol, drugs, whether that's prescription drugs, illicit drugs, gambling, porn addiction, extramarital affairs. These are all the things that first responders do to kind of numb themselves and to kind of escape reality, when in reality, it's making things worse. What we need to do is talk about it, get it off our chest, normalize the discussions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the catchphrases they used to tell us was, and it's somewhat true, your body is having a perfectly normal reaction to an abnormal situation.
Exactly.
And that is true, but that heightened alert part that you talk about, it doesn't go away. And I don't know about you, but I find mine to be worse at night. And I don't know if it's not the dreams or if it's just because that's when we were the busiest running calls, but it's really weird how your senses are still heightened, even though I've been out, 2020? I've been out for almost 3 years now. You're still at night. I'm still on edge. I'm still nervous. And
I still, when I go to a restaurant, I sit with my back against the wall, watching a door, watching window. I don't ever sit with my back towards a door or a window, ever.
Absolutely, because you're trained. Well, yeah, I wouldn't blame you either there. But I mean, it's it's, you do it without even thinking about it. It's so ingrained. It's so natural. It's survival. And, I still do it. I would say it's diminished a little bit because of the work I've done. I've also had a medical procedure done called stellate ganglion block, or SGB. And we talk about this in the book, but that procedure actually lessens the physical symptoms of post-traumatic stress injury. So it doesn't deal with the psychological aspects, but what it does do is it kind of lessens those physical symptoms so you can focus on like therapy or group meetings or programs or EMDR to help mitigate the psychological effects. And, the reason why I call it post-traumatic stress injury is that it is an injury. It's a proven fact that repeated exposure to trauma causes both a physical change and a chemical change to the human brain. And there's been tons of, imaging, scans that prove this. It's a proven fact. And so why as first responders do we accept knee injuries and back injuries and shoulder injuries? And we know that if that happens, we suck it up till the point where we can't deal with it anymore. Maybe we go see the doctor, they give us some Motrin, they send us to physical therapy, maybe injections, that doesn't work. Okay, now we got to do surgery and then more physical therapy. We have a plan to get better. Well, the same is true with post-traumatic stress injury. But what I also want to say is that even with that bad knee, back, or shoulder, you're never going to be the same as you were before that injury. You can get better, you can recover, but just like with post-traumatic stress injury, or even I'll go further back, before becoming a first responder, you're never going to be that person because the job has changed you as a person. But you can get better, you can recover.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always didn't like when I went through the classes. They said, well, there's only one real cure for this. And then you just kind of let that dangle out there. And what they were talking about is most people see the cure as suicide. So they were saying the only cure is death. And I always thought, I was like, well, that's silly. You've got to be able to get, as a paramedic, you study the body. You've got to be able, there's got to be some way of, I don't want to say fixing you, but making you better. And that was the one thing in one of those classes that stuck with me. There is no cure. It's just out there. So
see, I'm living proof that that's not true. I'm living proof that there's a whole new life on the other side. I was to the point where I did not want to be here. I was literally putting myself in very dangerous situations, putting my officer safety aside, my tactics, hoping that somebody killed me. So opposite of suicide by cop, I was hoping for suicide by bad guy. And so if I got that low, that dark, and I was able to pull myself out of that to the point where I'm now living a wonderful life, literally a whole new life, that's where people need to understand that it is possible, but it's not easy. And the longer that you wait to get help, the longer it's going to take to recover. I suffered in silence for 4 years. 4 years. But if you address this sooner, then you can get better much quicker.
Now, how do you, let's say you have a friend, a fireman or a policeman that is in some kind of, I won't call it distress, but is really suffering from some of the effects of what you've seen yourself do and what you're going through. How do you tell them? Because now like you and I called each other brother earlier, and I truly feel that because we both did the same job. We walked the streets. We did, so how do you tell another brother there's something wrong with you in the head? And there's a lot of love that goes there. I could say that to you with the different type of humor I could as to somebody else, but how do you tell someone, especially when that stigma, it's not as prominent, but it's still out there. How do you tell that person that?
It's actually, the solution is very simple. You have to be vulnerable yourself. So you have to share what you've gone through, your own feelings, in order for someone else to share theirs. Think about it. Why on earth would you open up to somebody if you thought they wouldn't understand it, if they wouldn't get it? But if somebody comes to you first and says, look, let me tell you about my life. Let me tell you about the things I've been going through that you had no clue about. And if you establish that trust, if you establish that openness first, you're going to open up those lines of communication. Because if you just ask somebody like, hey, how are you doing today? We're all going to say, you know what, I'm doing fine. Or you know what, I've had a shitty day, but I'll get over it. I'll be okay. We take those superficial answers on the surface and we never dig past that. So what you need to do, like I said, is just open up yourself. you know, and that's what we're doing here today. I mean, everyone on here is opened up, and this is a public forum, and everyone has shared something horrific or traumatic in their life. And what does that do? That lets me know that, A, you get it, you understand it, that you've been through it. It doesn't have to be the same exact identical situation, because we're going to have the same feelings. We're going to have the same effects on our relationships or our physical health or our mental health. And that's where this normalization comes into play, is that we need leaders at all levels of our agencies to be vulnerable themselves, you know, to get past these perfect chiefly images that, you know, I'm perfect and I've had a great career and nothing bothers me. No, forget that bullshit. Open up to your people, bring down the walls, talk about the realities on how much this job has affected your family, on your relationships. Let's be real. Let's not put up this facade and pretend like we're perfect, because we're not. I mean, and the ironic thing is, we're out there every single day giving complete strangers advice, solutions on what they need to do, right? So we're experts in this area, but we don't take our own advice ourselves.
Right.
We're dishing it out every single day, but how often are we using that same advice and expertise on ourselves?
That's true. I had one of the guys that precepted me way back in the day. He says, all we are is problem solvers. That's all we are. He says, they got a busted water pipe, we turn the water off. They got a broken leg, we patch them, take them to the hospital. He says, we're just problem solvers. He says, we don't really do anything. I was like, what do you mean we don't really do anything? He says, that's just what we just solve problems. So I was like, well, that's doing something, but yeah, towards the end with that one department where we're so busy, the academy called me and they're like, we want to know why all the paramedic and EMT students want to come ride with you, aside for the fact that somehow I always managed to get the worst calls that were out there. And I had a speech that I used to give the first day when it's all right, you're going to hop up here, you're going to check this ambulance off, you're going to check it off, you're going to wash it, you know. But the first speech was, it's not too late to run. You're still young. There's time in your life. And I was completely miserable, but laughing about this and telling us that you're young. You can still get out. You can still find a job where you can survive. You won't have to work 3 jobs. You won't have to do this. Worried about being shot in a car. You know, and they were like, why don't you come teach this at the academy? And I'm like, what? Tell a whole academy of recruits it's not too late to run, to get the hell away from this as fast as you can.
And I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating, but in the academies, starting this conversation, you know, bringing in those veteran firefighters or officers, not to scare them away, but to plant that seed that, you know, this is a great job. It's a great profession. And believe it or not, we do make difference. We make a difference for individuals at a time. We may not be able to save the world, but we truly can make a difference in people's lives and impact on our community. But plant that seed that things are going to happen. You're going to have crappy days. You're going to go to crappy calls. This stuff will affect your health. It will affect your family, and know that there's, you know, answers and solutions. Because I remember when I went through the academy, we didn't talk about any of that, right? We trained on defensive tactics, firearms, driving, use of force, the law, and carry on our in-service training, right? Hundreds, if not thousands of hours on how to protect ourselves from the bad guys. But how much time do we spend on the number one threat? The number one threat is ourselves. We are much more likely to take our own life than to die at the hands of another person. That is a fact, an absolute fact.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of the persons in the chat brings that up and is talking about the cortisol, I'm sure, that she says she's wondered about the highs and lows of the adrenaline rushes and stifling your emotions. You begin to feel numb, almost like an imposter of yourself. Is this part of the PTSD too?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, and that's why too, people they have that adrenaline rush when they're off duty. And that's why they're doing things like drugs, alcohol, extramarital affairs. You know, they're turning to all these negative coping mechanisms because they're chasing that constant adrenaline rush.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the cortisol does have negative effects on your body. I mean, we won't get into that as paramedic, but yeah, it has long-term effects.
We could do a whole
on
other
all of your
episode on
bodies.
that.
Yeah, just on your body alone. I mean, your heart system. Oh my gosh. Anyhow, and the hypervigilance. I know you can't stay because you're a busy man. So before you do leave, I want you to tell us where they can find you. Obviously, I want them to know where to get your book, because I want this I don't know it for a fact, but I feel like I have a larger audience tonight because of you, because of the response I got. If not live, at least playback, where they can find you, where someone can go if they need help, and any parting shots. And one thing you did say I'd like to key on real quick: Academy. Get it to the recruits. Get it to the recruits, because these guys are going to be down there 20 years down the road and teaching the guys coming in. We got to get that wheel spinning better. It's not doing a really good job.
Absolutely. So first off, the book, it's called Relentless Courage, Winning the Battle Against Frontline Trauma. It's available on Amazon. Currently, the paperback's on sale, so I don't know how much longer, but the paperback's on sale as we speak. It's also available on hardcover and Kindle. And exciting news, I actually just finished up today in the studio. We're doing an Audible version of the book. It's going to be coming out later this summer, but it was recorded in my own voice and Dr. Shauna Springer's voice, and it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, just full of emotion. It's going to be powerful. It's going to knock your socks off. As far as me, I'm on every social media platform out there. Just type in Sergeant Michael Sugrue, Sugrue. So I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Truth, Parler. I even got on TikTok 2 weeks ago. I promised myself I never would. I'm not dancing. I'm going to tell you right now, but I am on TikTok. So reach out on any of those platforms. I check them all the time. But also I want people to know I run a page and a group called First Responders First. Again, it's called First Responders First. That's on Facebook. There's a page and a private group, and there's also an Instagram. So I'm constantly sharing different articles, resources that are applied to military, veterans, first responders, just lots of great things. And the last thing I want to say is just, if you're out there listening to this, if you're watching this, if you think like you're alone, nobody's going to get it, nobody's going to understand it, I assure you that you're wrong, because I felt that way for 4 years. But now I found out there's countless resources available out there, and there's tons of your brothers and sisters who do get it, who do understand it. All you have to do is get the strength and courage to ask for help. And if you do, and if you put in the work, I promise you there's a whole new life on the other side of this.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming on, Michael. We really appreciate it. A lot of good information.
It was my pleasure, and you guys are doing great stuff. So here's the deal. We all have a story. Everyone has a story, whether you're a first responder or not. And sharing your story, not only is it healing for yourself, but it helps other people. So, man, get out there and share your own story. You just might save a life. You're
absolutely right. And that was one of the things the instructors always taught us, is pass your knowledge on. So we want to pass this knowledge on to the next generation, because like everybody, we don't want to make our kids suffer through what we did. So,
well, Michael, thanks again.
I really appreciate it. You have a wonderful evening. I will hook up with you later on, and I will start on the book the minute I get it, and I'm sure I'll have tons of questions for you.
I can't wait. Thanks again.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for their participation. That was a tough subject. That was one
almost made me cry.
I was trying to. That was a real hard one. We got JT and Shelton that were backstage. Hey! Sorry, JT. I just didn't see a time to push it in there. But it's a hard subject. It's a touchy subject. A lot of people get overwhelmed. And literally, I felt a slap in the face when he said that about department abandonment, the red line abandonment. You know who you are. Yeah. I was like, wow, that hurt. That's true.
So while you get everybody together, I don't know where Bobby is. I'm going to block my camera, and I'm going to clean up the mess I made when I knocked something over. I have a big mess on the floor.
What she's saying is she had to go to the bathroom, but didn't make it.
No. And you heard it. And you heard it hit the floor. It was, Deacon said she has to go to the bathroom too. But I hit my ashtray. I have one of those cup things, and I hit my ashtray, and it went flying and hit the floor and broke open. And I have such a mess going
You
on.
are
right
a
now,
hot
so.
mess behind the scenes there. Holy cow.
I'm telling you that
Constant 24/7.
Bigfoot's still sitting on my bed waiting for Shelton. Shelton, I got you. I got you a friend.
You got me a friend.
I did.
Oh.
I think I need one after I heard everything tonight. Because I realized JT's got issues. No, I don't. Who are you lying to?
Maybe I should have brought JT on during that segment and said, so what do you think about a man who has a dummy on his lap?
I was thinking about the same thing.
Bobby said, Shelton, hard left turn.
Bobby needs to jump in here and he can maybe supervise this mess. But yeah,
I will be right back, y'all. Get your stuff together.
I didn't know my stuff was lost. Oh, so how the heck have you been, JT and Shelton?
Well, I've been doing good. I've been doing all right. Why are you lying? What do you mean? You've been sitting around crying. I have not. Where are you getting up from? I don't know. But you've been sleeping all day. I have been sleeping all day. Yeah, so I'm the one that was crying because you just left me sitting out. I did. I wish I could be like Andy.
What do you mean?
Because he's by himself, and that's all I want to be right now. Look at Glenn. Nobody's with him. Why do you gotta be right here? I mean, you can sit over there, but you won't do any talking. Because you need to talk to that guy that was just on the screen a minute ago.
Yeah, well, there is something to be said about being alone, though. You don't have to worry about anything but yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to worry about the dummy. Y'all can pick. He is looking at you. And be careful. Last week you lost your last weekend you lost your head. So be careful. So.
Oh yeah. Well, this guy just dropped me on my head. Did you see that?
Oh, it was seen by the world. Yes. So.
Yes, it was. And then some.
Yeah. That hurt. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah. And it took you forever to fix me. I didn't want to be on camera after that.
You were a little camera shy after that. We saw your exposed neck.
I know. Gosh. Now y'all know what my insides look like.
Trust me, I'm a paramedic. So it's okay.
Still hurt.
Still hurt. Oh, so Shelton, so what else has been going on with you? And besides he's sleeping all day, you got to be doing something. I mean, Days of Our Life, I don't know if that's even still on. You watching the soap operas or anything?
Hell no. I've been watching a cat. It got in here. Yeah, it was trying to eat my foot.
I was trying to eat your foot?
Yeah, I was trying to kick, but I thought, well, maybe it'll just go away if I play dead.
That's what you're supposed to do with bears, not cats.
Yeah, well, it worked.
Well, all right then. So you didn't get chewed up by the cat.
No, foot's still there.
Well, good. So nothing else, nothing new on TV. You haven't done anything crazy. You haven't got a new girlfriend or anything in the past week. Nothing.
Oh God, a girlfriend? No, thank you. I've been going through a lot with them women lately. No, thank you. Nope, done.
No, okay. Oh, so you're over the women. Okay.
Yeah.
We get it. Wait till you're on like divorce number 3. So.
Wait, it's been that many already? Golly, I need to slow down.
You're a hard lover.
I just get used and abused.
People just cop a feel, stick their hand up here, and just walk off, huh?
And they, yeah, just gone.
Does he ever pass you around at parties?
No, nobody's allowed to touch him.
Oh, okay, well, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there were rules.
Yeah. I don't think I'd like somebody else's hand there.
Gotten kind of comfy with his.
Yeah, just him.
Just him. All right. Well, I can accept that. So you're a one-man mannequin, I guess.
Dummy.
Dummy. Well, that could be derogatory. I mean, that could offend somebody.
Yeah, or doll.
We don't want to. Oh, a doll, yeah. Well, yeah. We don't want to offend anybody because today everybody's so sensitive. You know, you got to watch out for the
Oh my
Democrats.
God, I'm a dummy. I am a dummy.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you're talking about trying to offend someone who's talks to a doll.
What you trying to say?
You know exactly what I'm trying to say. She's slow.
Now that could be offensive.
But it's JT. It's not like, I don't know, somebody that matters.
Shut up. What? He's so mean to me.
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh.
That's wrong.
Is there gonna come a time that you can get banned for dissing yourself like that?
It could be. Well, I mean, you know, you could always replace him with a Joe Biden puppet. I mean, it'd be the same thing. Hand up his ass and clueless. So.
Oh my God. I want to know where they got that dummy because I want one just like it.
You want a what?
I said, I want to know where they got the Joe Biden puppet because I think I want one just like it.
There's this animonic, demonic, robotic. I don't know. He's seen it do its little. She just did that again. Yeah, I don't know. She put her finger up at me like most women do. You know, they're like, "Don't talk to me." Like, okay, I'm sorry, and she's like, "Well, you gotta listen to what I say." She's a woman. Hear me roar. I still have the total control, though. I could just hide her on the streams.
Good.
Oh, mercy. Andy, is anybody else coming to join this little chat
Mike
tonight?
said he was gonna try.
Well, you tell Mike he needs to get his butt in gear. We are sending an SOS out.
So, I want to know something, though. I want to know if Shelton's got any other jokes that he's learned lately.
Oh, well, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, just one about this dummy performing.
Oh, you're talking about yourself, right?
I was talking about Joe Biden.
Give me a better joke than that.
Election season is coming up. Who are you voting for?
I don't get into politics.
I'm voting for Trump.
I didn't know you were even registered to vote.
Yeah, when I listed my home address as in the box in the closet, they assumed I was a Democrat.
Wait, what?
Did you hear about the Bud Light stuff going on? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Drink Bud Light, Shelton.
Hell, I stay away from the Bud Light nowadays.
And do
I
shop
don't
the
even know
Target.
why.
Well,
I don't know why he doesn't want to have Bud Light.
Bud Light's bad.
Bud Light's bad, okay?
I don't even know.
He said he was
It
gonna
doesn't really taste good. Do you know what I like, Shelton?
Uh-oh.
What do you like?
Mickey's Big Mouth.
Oh my God. You're kidding me.
No.
Please tell me that is one of my favorite t-shirts. That is one of my favorite when I would drink. I don't drink, but that was when I did drink. We used to get a 6-pack of those for $1.99. That shit was good.
What was that?
Mickey's.
Ooh.
The wide mouth green bottles. Yeah.
When I do drink, I like the Angry Orchard, but
Well,
I don't really drink.
Oh, I'm talking like now as an adult. Probably wouldn't drink Mickey's on a. I would have one occasionally, but it would have to be probably if I was going to drink a beer, it would be an IPA, a pale ale, a higher class one. But yeah, I don't drink that much anymore. So if I have 5 cocktails a year, it's been a bad year. So
Well, I don't drink anymore either. But when I did,
yeah, Mickey's. There was something about Mickey's. I don't know if it was the fact that the alcohol content was bigger, whatever, or you could drink it faster, or that it was $1.99 a 6-pack. But yeah, when we were younger, that stuff was the bomb.
what was it? The Boone's Farm.
Ooh, no.
When I was younger, it was Boone's Farm. That's what everybody wanted.
Mad Dog 2020.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
They
if you
still
haven't
have
tangled
that.
with Mad Dog. Oh yeah, they do.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing will get you messed up so fast. That's why I like it.
Really? I don't think I've ever
yeah.
seen Shelton drunk. We're gonna have to try that one day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that JT will be sloppy.
If JT passes out, are you gonna continue the show?
It doesn't matter what he does. I'm the one in control. He's the
Oh.
damn dummy.
No. I mean, if I was to remove my hand, you would fall asleep.
How? My eyes don't close.
Does have a point. Does have a valid point.
I'm not sure I want to know what happens if you remove your hand from Shelton's backside.
Bad things happen. Children, stay home.
What?
Now,
What kind of bad things
Shelton,
could happen?
I'm working with your new friend right now. I got to really do something about his hair because I don't know, but so I'm working with this new friend now so that when Saturday's show comes on, I can bring him out and you guys can have a discussion. Well, he doesn't really talk, but you'll know what you'll know what he means. So
Oh, Lord.
he's pretty neat, man. You might like him, Sheldon. I think I sent a picture to JT. JT should show you the picture.
He hasn't showed me nothing yet.
No, I haven't
Oh my
showed you
God.
yet.
He's got puppet porn on his phone. You need to check it
Puppet
out.
porn. Puppet porn. Is there such thing? I don't know. There might be. People are really weird.
I'm not gonna look. It probably
They have
is.
lots of hang-ups, like, you
You can
pickle
get that on
fetishes and all that shit.
OnlyFans.
What?
You can get that on OnlyFans.
Wait a minute. I think, are you sure it's not only hands, not only face?
Oh yeah, it's only hands.
That was a bad
hands.
one. Let me
That's a
hit
good
that.
Oh, Glenn, you're funny.
Strings
That's
with
kind of like
wings.
one of those dating places for puppets. Only hands. I like it.
You have to remember
I like
that one, Shelton. That might be where you need to go to find you a friend. So.
You gonna go get a girlfriend, Shelton?
No, I told you I don't like
Yeah,
women
he's-
right now.
You don't like women right now.
Nah, no guys either. Don't worry.
Oh,
I'm just
I don't
saying.
I'm kind of glad you clarified that for me.
yeah.
I figured for you.
Oh my gosh.
I was
Well,
trying to find the sound of lumber over here. So.
JT's been talking to a girl, but I'm taking a break.
Oh, JT's back to talking to the ladies, huh?
Not really, Shelton.
Shut up. You
lying.
are.
He's
You
a
are.
player.
I'm not.
You are. You've been talking to the ladies.
You're a
Nah.
player. Come on, Mal. You
Yep.
got the look.
You talked to Brenda,
Mhm.
right?
I mean,
Hey, He does talk to me.
that's
Here.
my that's my mama.
Yeah, he talks to me, but not like that.
That's my mama.
You never know.
That's actually kind of the thought I had. She's my mama,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's kind of creepy. Andy's over here going, I didn't say that. So
Oh my gosh.
We can't mess with Andy Sugar Mama. So
Andy,
he's going, mommy.
did you say Andy has an evil mommy puppet?
No.
What?
I said,
What are you listening to?
once again, it's her medication.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I haven't had my
forgot.
medication.
You need to
Matter
send
of fact,
me some.
I just sent Jack to go get food because I haven't had any of that either.
oh,
Oh,
Lord.
snap.
Oh, you're gonna have to take some before we get to the 11 o'clock hour. So yeah.
I already took it. I'm just waiting for food.
Well, I meant time to eat before the 11 o'clock hour. So because when your show starts,
It'll be quick. I'll just shove it in there and hope like heck I can swallow it all. And wait,
hold on, wait a minute.
I will chew it.
Wait a minute, it's not working.
That sounded so wrong. I'm so sorry.
If he finds a farting button, we're in trouble.
I thought the mute button, but no, it doesn't do anything. It just makes a noise.
It does. It makes a noise, but it
It
doesn't.
mutes you.
Doesn't
It
kind
mutes
of.
me, yeah.
Yeah. Mutes only you. I wonder if mine mutes me. Wait,
you don't have
let me find this.
a bleep out button, so
I don't.
no.
Oh my god, I do not. I have one of these. Wait a minute.
Ooh, ah.
I have a gas,
A gas.
and I have a.
Well, everybody should have one of those.
Only if you send the right. Only if you send
I'm
the
actually
right
kind of
thing.
disappointed that doesn't.
Where's Bobby?
I don't know. He's probably his. Well, I told you earlier, his wife tried to push him back out to sea. So
I know where he went.
where did he
Anywhere
go?
I'm not. Bobby's scared of me.
You like Bobby there, don't you?
Heck yeah. I like
Okay.
scaring him.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. So
It's so fun.
yeah, well, if his wife watched this show, we could get her in on some of the fun too and prank at him. So I found out that apparently she's a volunteer fan. So we got something in common. So Tennessee volunteer, let me classify for those of you that don't know. So.
What? Whose wife? Wait.
Bobby's wife apparently is a closet Tennessee volunteer fan. So
Where
it
is Bobby?
surprised
Why is
even
he not here?
Wait,
Well,
she lives in a closet too? I knew
Well,
he had a puppet for a wife.
I've never actually met her, so it could be.
Shelton,
wife.
watch what you say, man.
Would it really be a puppet or? Well, never mind.
I bet you Bobby's gonna get a kick out of that.
Sheldon never watches what he says. I think Bobby's getting used to it.
Yeah, well, he's had
That's what it is.
he's had a vacation with the family, so and his wife tried to push him out to sea once, I heard. So he was laying on the beach and they kept yelling, push it back, and
I tried to do that to JT once. Then I realized we were both gonna drown.
Right? Sheldon, do you think you can really talk with water in JT's mouth?
and somehow since I needed to again.
I don't think I could try that.
You don't think you can, huh? Why?
He ain't got that much talent.
Uh-oh. Why are you dogging him?
I don't know. Now I gotta try it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Okay.
He's gonna really
Sheldon?
spit everything everywhere.
Shelton, don't try to drown JT.
I don't think I can do it. I can't. I'm not.
Hey, Shelton. You want to meet your friend? He's kind of scared.
Of course.
He's pretty shy.
Andy, before we do this, have you seen this?
No.
Oh Lord. I'm watching Andy for shock factor.
So I was sitting in my room and I heard noise outside. So I opened the door and there was something out there chasing birds and I thought it was hungry. So I let it in and I fed it and now it won't leave. He's shy now. Come on.
What the hell is that?
Holy.
This is your new friend.
It's Brenda in the morning.
He's a
Where'd you
Bigfoot.
get him? From the mountains?
Yeah, he comes from the mountains.
Hey,
He's got a problem,
like
though. Jake. Look, he's got nose hairs really bad. I don't know what to do with those.
Oh, JT gets those.
Did you?
Yeah, manscape him, I think. So.
Yeah,
think
he
he- I
cleared
think
us
he has
with
to
the
lay down.
trimmers.
He has to go lay down. He's not ready. He's shy.
What has
Yeah.
my life turned into?
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm kind
Wait
of
till
wondering the same
Saturday.
thing.
He'll be ready Saturday. Watch out now.
Okay, we're
Ladies
gonna
and
hold you to
gentlemen.
it.
Let us pray.
But I did find out from somebody that knows a few other ventriloquists.
It's easy for you to say.
Oh,
and-
yeah?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about maybe on a Saturday night show we could get a whole gig going on. What do you think, Glenn?
I'm game. The Saturday night shows, for anybody that's still tuned in to us or is listening later, is just
Yeah.
where we get on here and just goof off.
Too
and,
stupid.
Yeah, and you're welcome to have the link and come on and be stupid with us. So
Yeah. It's more fun that way. The more the merrier.
I want to
Yeah.
meet more idiots like JT. That way
We need to
they can have some puppets. Maybe there'll be some girls.
I thought you
We need
wasn't
to get-
into girls.
Yeah,
need
but
to get-
that's just occasionally.
occasionally.
Occasionally he's not into girls. Watch out. We need to get Andy a dummy.
No.
Andy,
He's got
yes,
got
Andy.
Mike.
Andy needs a dummy.
Oh.
I like Glenn's message.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
got
come
Mike.
on, Andy. You could find the right kind that would fit on your hand just right.
Glenn said I got Mike.
Oh, where's my button again? Hold on.
And Patrick.
Sit on his hand.
Do
Sit on
not
his
let
hand.
Patrick sit on your lap. You will be broke.
I'd be crushed.
Patrick needs a dummy for this truck. He
Yeah, he
needs to
does.
stick it out, hang the hands in the window, roll the window up, and let it sit there and stare at people when they go by.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that would be hilarious. If I was
Put
in
one
a
of them
big
at the
truck,
eyeball
that's what I'd do.
shootout.
Right? Hey, I thought about mounting a pole on the back of my wheelchair and sticking Bigfoot on it.
And that right there will be a sound clip.
Exactly.
He can sit on the back of my chair when I go to the store, just hanging out.
Oh my God.
I had an encounter. I own a Bigfoot now.
Don't call us for bail money.
No,
I
I'll
have my own,
probably
it's
be
okay.
on the phone with her while she's doing it. What the hell are you talking about?
Probably, more likely, yeah.
She'll be in a
I'll be
slow
running
speed
around in
This
my
is-
wheelchair going, oh my God. Glenn's like, what are you doing? I'm trying to get away from the police. I'm not going fast enough. I'm going to get in jail.
I'm the kind of friend that she turns around and says to, here, hold my beer. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Is it a Bud Light?
He's
It's not a Bud Light.
No, it's not. He's starting to get to the point where he says, oh, hold your beer. Well, this is going to be good.
Let me hit record.
Let me see. Hey,
Call
man.
the TV
I'm
station.
you need to go to Tennessee and get together with JT and Shelton. And y'all need to go out Bigfoot hunting in the woods
I could take him out.
Ah,
and
I
film
can
it.
find a Bigfoot.
Can you?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bigger than his.
You got it. Just put
That's
my foot
crazy.
and anybody's foot together, and you'll see a big foot and a small foot.
Big foot on a small foot. My Bigfoot's got big feet. They're hairy too. Hairy
Ugh.
feet. Do you have hairy feet?
Nah, I got shoes on, and I can't see my feet. I don't think my
Can you
shoes
take-
come off.
They don't come off.
I know your head does.
Smell funny.
We know your head does.
Hey,
Yeah, your head.
you didn't see that?
Yeah, we seen it. It was pretty funny.
All right, can we forget about that now? That's a
TikTok.
sore subject.
TikTok never forgets. Me and TikTok were having an argument earlier, so I was about ready to forget TikTok. So,
oh, I know every platform's been arguing with you today. What is the problem?
well, TikTok, I don't know, it was just slow or something. I don't know. So,
I think it was just maybe you overloaded it, and it was like, no.
and either that or the internet's about to come crashing down because the past 2 weeks I've heard of more people having internet problems than any other time I can recall. And I don't know if it's just because there's more people using it or if there's something wrong with the grid or something. So
it's gonna switch.
Nice.
It's gonna crash.
Like my glasses, man. See these? Can you see them?
Well, you were blurry now. I don't know what are you doing, but you look like
I'm blurry. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I have my old glasses that I've had for years, and I have an appointment on the 5th to get new ones. Well, to go see the eye doctor. So I'm looking through the drawer for something and I ran across these glasses and I have no idea where I got them, but they were in there and I put them on and I can see. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
I think your doll jacked them from some blind person. So I think that's what happened.
I think she did. I think Hannah did. I don't know. For all I know, I could have had them in there for years in this eye case and probably somebody left them in the cab. I don't know. Who knows? But Lord, they work. I'm like, I'm not gonna kick a gift horse in the mouth. I'll tell you that.
Never, ever, ever.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and tell the eye doctor on the 5th. Hey, make them like these. I can see.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So, I gotta message Bobby and find out where he's at.
Well, I was going to say it's 10:30. Your show starts in a half hour, so I was about to wrap this one up for the night, and we can convene again later. And then your show, for anyone that wants to tune in, comes on at 11. It's kind of scary for JT and Shelton there, so Andy, it might be too scary for him. They're talking about serial killers tonight. So
yeah, I don't like to get in on that.
I mean, I don't see why not, but Shelton won't let me.
John Wayne Gacy used to dress as a clown, Shelton.
Serial killers. Ooh, Rice Krispies.
But he never. Now, now, I'm not defending him or anything, but I am going to say this: he never killed anybody.
If she says he has good taste, I'm out.
No,
Unsmacked.
he never killed anybody when he was dressed in a clown. So I don't know why they're. Well,
that kind of makes sense. Why would you want to ruin your good suit?
Well, he didn't do his makeup right anyways. There's a symbolism behind the way he did his makeup because most clowns will do them round and he did points on his, which is bad.
Sure, you're going to tell us all about that tonight. So
yeah, he didn't ever hurt anybody while he was in a clown suit. So I don't understand. I don't know why, but
because if he got blood on it, everybody would know and he couldn't wear it again.
And besides, he was just clowning around. So
that's what they call that, clowning. I don't know.
That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. We've hit the 2.5 hour mark. So that's usually about the max I like to go on a show or podcast, and probably need a little pee break before we get to the 11 o'clock hour. But tonight.
And we will be on with the Real Serial Killers Club. Susan should be joining us too.
Yeah.
And we will be opening up and talking about John Wayne Gacy and his life. So
it's guaranteed to be a good show. Yeah.
Yeah, I studied this man for 4 days.
So there you go, fellow quarters. Be advised, she's studied a serial killer. So
I did.
Any parting words? Any words of wisdom for the next few days till we meet again on Saturday?
Not really.
Do we need somebody to put their hand in your backside?
No.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Apparently she wants to because she keeps
there.
I don't know what those two do off the air. They argue like brother and sister, so I don't know.
Tickle your fancy.
Better watch what you tickle.
Whoa.
And on that note.
All right. Well, Deacon, please hang around to the 11 o'clock hour and hear Miss Brenda and Miss Susie for that show. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And any of the other fans, please hang around on the channel. JT, Shelton, anything? Leave us with one last shot before we go out here.
Oh gosh,
I
just
didn't
this
put you
idiot. Am I? Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure. Like, yeah, this is an idiot here. He's got a TikTok of his own. You should check it out.
Oh, what's your TikTok? Do you have one too, Shelton?
I have one. He has one.
All right.
What is it?
What do you tell us what it is?
We the Dummies for life. And then he's a JT Driver gamer for life.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to get that. And we also, I forgot to do this earlier because it was time. If you want to leave us tips for the show, you can go to streamlabs.com/sportcat/tip. I'm not sharing with you guys because I don't like y'all that much. Or if you want a shirt,
shit.
you can go.
I'm off the show.
Hold on, let me find out.
and no picture tips.
And well, any ladies that wants to send me topless photos, I'm open for it. So, sportcatmedic@yahoo.com. Just saying. But yeah, anytime you can buy t-shirts and you can leave tips there. I forgot to do that earlier, but yeah, go check it out. I'm going to leave us with a song. JT, Shelton, we will see you again Saturday night, correct?
That's right. See ya.
All right,
I'll
you
see
all be
everybody else
good.
soon.
All right, Brenda, you know what time it is.
I do.
It is time for a beer.
Break it out.
I'm
Break it
trying.
down.
If I could find the right button, I would do it. Ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
God, it's button problem again.
Yeah, I have all kinds of button problems. Just me and my... ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participation. Please like, follow, and share. And you can find me on Twitter at Sportcat, Facebook, Sportcat Medic, and I don't know, just find the Sportcat. You'll find me. Until then, everybody have a good... Go ahead, Brenda.
Don't get off of here because I'm going to have to leave it open so I can get back on this same screen.
Well, that will work because we got to enter a new studio.
Oh, well, all right then. Forget it.
Yeah, I'm just going to kick you out anyhow. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. Like I said, please like, follow, and share. And if you have any questions about this stuff or need any help at any time, we can get you in the direction of talking to somebody. And that includes us too. We need to talk too. So drop us a note. You can email me at sportcatmedic@yahoo.com. And we can chat if you want to about anything. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear Al say one more time before the night's over.
We like to party every day of every year. Since I was 15, and still wet behind the ears. 'Cause ever since then I've been hooked on the taste of beer. Well, we think we're really cool, 'cause we're sitting by the pool with girls all around. Whoa, look what we just found. It's really, really cold as last feeling taste, but we got beer. It was a girl from Spain, and Lolita was